it would be nice. Yeah, yeah. So I think, Vaishya, you can start with the
Okay, so delegates, greetings to all of you once again, and welcome to Aippm, which is a major committee of TAPMU 3.0, which is in its third year, and we are glad that we're going to share this legacy with all of you, and it's going to be quite an experience for both us from the EBs and OCs as well as you all. So I know that a lot of you have doubts regarding what AIPPM is and what AIPMUN is. Some of you are new to this school and so much more. But I'm sure that at the end of this session, most of you would have a clear picture of what's actually going to happen so that you would all be actually able to enjoy what's going to be there on 18th and 20th of this month. So, what is AIPPM? Cha, please continue.
Okay, so as you all know that this is a model United Nations. So AIPPM is a very special committee, okay, because it's not really a part of the United Nations. So what is AIPPM? As you can see the full form, it's an all Indian political parties meet. So now, in reality, we don't really have that. We have the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabhas where everyone comes together, they pass bills. So it's not that complicated. It's just very simple, where the political leaders they come together and then they discuss on the issue. Okay, so they discuss on the topic that we have here is which is the Agnipat scheme. So you are coming as as a politician, and now you're discussing with other politicians about the scheme because it affects the nation, right? And you as a politician, you are considered you are concerned about the nation's well-being. So you come here, if you don't like it, then you will say how it affects the nation. If you like it, well, if you support it, then you will say that how it actually benefits the nation, and so everyone should support it. So you're going to propagate your opinions. So in AIPPM, it's very important to have an opinion. So now, because you are assigned portfolios, your opinion is going to be in alignment with the political party that you are representing. So more than that, we'll now go into the technicalities. Next slide.
Okay, so what basically our chair told, and to sum it up, is that this is actually going to be a simulation of what happens in a real life setting. And I want you all to be very clear about that. This is basically a simulation which is very accurate of what's actually happening in say IPPM or in the Model United Nations committees as such. So it's needless to say that these also have certain rules of conducts and procedures because that is how a committee functions in the real life. And these are basically the procedural constructs which we are going to discuss furthermore. And it's basically a code of conduct and working regulations of the conference as it's mentioned. And for our committee specifically, the Agnipath scheme that we have all accustomed ourselves with is going to be our agenda. So we are not actually going to begin our committee proceedings with setting the agenda because it has already been set by the discretion of the chair. And another great thing, something unique about this committee of ours, unlike other Indian committees, is that you can use both Hindi or English. That it's a bilingual committee. And however, there's going to be a compulsory one. There's going to be something important, which is documentation has to be in English. All the written forms, documents, resolution draft that's going to be formed has to be in English. Otherwise, you are free to use both English and Hindi during your speeches. So, yeah.
Okay, so one thing before we begin, please keep a notebook and a pen handy because you want to take notes because we will send this slide, but there are a lot of things that we will just say and explain here. So it's better that you keep taking notes what you find important, and also if you have any doubts, you can write it in the chat box or you can write it and tell us when we ask you for doubts. So please keep that handy. and we will send the recording later, but you should be attentive. Okay, so the first thing that we do, like we are there in the conference. Okay, so we all are there, nicely dressed and all. So first thing that we start is a roll call. So we need to be sure that everyone is present, right? So we take a roll call. We will call your names by your portfolios, like I call Narendra Modi, and then you have to respond. Now there are two ways to respond. Either you say present or you say present and voting. Now there is a difference, is that when you say present, you are only present and you cannot vote on the various committee procedures that we have, and we'll explain later. So there are voting procedures, right? So you cannot participate in that. But in the next one, present and voting, you can vote later on in the committee, all the procedures. You can vote, like there will be topics with speeches, so you can vote on that. So basically, when you are present and voting, you're participating in everything, and present is a very like passive role. So we recommend that you always respond with present and voting. Now, that is the roll call. We will just like call all of your names at one go, and all you need to do is respond. Now, here is one thing that you need to bring a, no, what is that called? Like a file. What's it called, Anshu?
Yeah.
That file that they need to bring.
For the for raising their hands,
Yes.
that thing, the placard like thing. Yeah, we'll brief them on that at the end
Okay.
regarding what they have to bring.
Okay. So that is the roll call.
Let's first move on with the.
Okay, so now I would ask you that do you have any doubts till that? Because it's just the basics. So if you have any doubts, you can always ask. Because now we're going on to more depth. So is that all? Is that clear? Like you understood the roll call and what is AIPPM, right? Can I get a yes in the chat, or maybe you can unmute?
Can you explain the present and voting?
Yeah, sure. So see, actually, in the next procedures, we'll see that you as a portfolio, you have to vote. Okay, so you have to vote, and then if it gets the majority, it will get passed. If it doesn't get the majority vote, it won't get passed. So you, in the roll call, you have to say that you are present and voting, so that your vote will be counted in the next procedures.
Okay.
When you say present, you cannot vote. So basically, just respond with present and voting, so that you can participate in all that is there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
To just re-explain or sum it up basically of what we have learned up till now is that look, firstly, a committee. At the very beginning of a ceremony, there's going to be a ceremony, small opening ceremony, and all of you are going to be seated in your respective places. And then it starts with the roll call, okay, which is basically very simple. Let's just, I'm just re-explaining this once again because some of you may have certain doubts. So when you're present, when you just say present, the EB, that is the chair or the vice chair, is going to ask the roll numbers like, for example, Narendra Modi, are you present? Okay, so you can respond by present or present and voting. So if you say present and voting, that means that later on in the committee, whenever there are any motions that are going to be passed, whenever there's any kind of deciding factor, let's keep it simple, that is going to take place, you can vote on that. Okay. And when you say simply present, you cannot vote. That is the major difference. When you say present and voting, it's going to open up all of what DAV is up to you. So we highly recommend that you go for present and voting, and we would want all the delegates to participate by present and voting. Disha, Chair, shall I continue?
Yes.
Okay. So next we move on to the opening statement after the roll call. this is the next step. I would like all the delegates to write the main points. That is, please don't have to write all this. We'll be sending it anyways. But just write the flow of order that's actually taking place. First the roll call, then the opening statement that is going to take place. So after the roll call is complete for all the delegates, we move on to the opening statement, which is also known by the name of general speakers list. And this is the place where you have to give your speeches. You have to tell regarding your what your portfolio thinks about this particular topic of Agnipath, and certain other things like why the opposition might be wrong about it, what your why this topic, this Agnipath scheme, might be something that is good or something that is bad regarding respective to the post that you have gotten. For example, if you are Narendra Modi, let's just say you're Narendra Modi. So you will not be speaking against Agnipath scheme. You will be speaking for the motion to keep it simple. You actually want the Agnipath scheme to be implemented as it is in real life. And therefore, you're actually going to speak on things that why the Agnipath scheme is going to be beneficial for the country, why the opposition is not correct regarding its usefulness, and why it should be implemented. So these are some of the topics, for example, you can cover during your GSL speech and make your stance regarding the topic very, very clear. That everybody should know that you are this, you are representing this person, and that you think this about this portfolio, about this topic, so that everybody can know that your stance is for or against this Agnipath scheme. So this is a very important part, and to begin a GSL, one has to initiate it. So it's not that the chairs are going to just call that the GSL begins now. No, we are not going to do that. A delegate is going to rise, and he or she is going to speak the following that we have uh, highlighted here. That is, I, and you can mention your portfolio. For example, I, Amit Shah, would like the committee to enter into a GSL for the total time being 20 minutes and each speaker getting 90 seconds. Now, regarding the time, we would recommend that you keep it to 90 seconds per speaker. And as for the total time, it can be 20 minutes or it can be little more than that. If it's more, if you all think that more time would be required, another motion can be passed, and there can be a voting on that, and whichever motion wins gets the maximum vote will be passed. For example, Chair, are you there with me? Chair,
Yes.
I'd just like to take an example, so please assist me in that. For example, I'm Amit Shah, and after the roll call is complete, I want to raise the motion for a GSL, and I want the total time to be 20 minutes. So I speak that I, Amit Shah, would like the committee to enter into a GSL for the total time being 20 minutes, and each speaker getting 90 seconds. Now, for example, Chair, you don't want the total time to be 20 minutes. You want it to be, say, 30 minutes. So what do you say?
I, Mehbooba Mufti, would like the committee to enter into GSL for total time being 30 minutes and each speaker time being 90 seconds.
Okay, delegates. So now you have seen that both the chair and I differ in the total time limit. Now we are not going to do it on the final day. You delegates are going to be doing this. So regarding as the time is differing from person to person, then then these motions will be taken up and a voting will be done on these motions. So all of you would have to probably raise your hands and vote and things like that, which we will clarify later. But a simple voting is going to be done. So this is basically how a GSL is going to be initiated. And once it's initiated, the EB will call out the names of the delegates one by one, and you all can deliver your speeches. Chair, up to you now.
Put the previous slide once.
Okay.
Also, that stance that you have, uh, you if you like, if your portfolio thinks that it is maybe has a neutral stand, so you can also elaborate on that. Whatever the portfolio that you have been given stands for, you have to stand for that, but you also can give your own opinions based on the same lines. And also, we were talking about the present and voting thing. So this is the first instance of that where you need to vote. So for the GSL, you are voting as a portfolio that yes, I want to enter into a GSL, so I am voting. So that is why it's very important that you say present in voting. So okay, next.
Acha, another thing regarding this GSL, for example, because we are having a huge number of speakers with us, so in case it's unable to complete within a time period of 20 minutes, for example, then later the time can also be extended. Okay, so the timing is not really a very important factor. It can be extended later on as well through another motion, and we can again continue with the GSL until all the speakers are done with it. So, Chair, up to you.
So do you have any doubts regarding the GSL? Can you write a yes in the chat box if you have understood?
Uh, Kanika, Priyanshu, Ankita, Ananya, Eshika, all of you have understood what the GSL is. If not, then you can ask us. It's okay, we're just your seniors. Please don't be intimidated by us.
Uh, Priyanshu, can you unmute and ask your doubt? I didn't get it.
Yeah, I was asking that the timing may be deciding factor, like only for 20 minutes we may not be able to complete it.
Yeah, it's okay. We can extend the GSL again. Like, for example, once the GSL has been completed, one of the delegates can rise up again and say that I delegate this and this would like the GSL to be extended for a total time of 5 minutes, with each speaker getting 90 seconds. So yeah, it can be extended up to 5-10 minutes as it's required for all the speakers to complete it up.
Okay.
Everybody will get a chance.
Okay, so now that you've understood the GSL, the next thing is now we move on to the next part of the debate where there are two uh, motions. Okay, so we call them the moderated motions and the unmoderated sessions motions. Okay, so now these are used to discuss on the subtopics of the main agenda that we have. Now we have an agenda, Agnipath scheme, right? So our mod topics will be based on whether like what are the like benefits or advantages. Okay, how does it benefit the country? Maybe that can be a mod topic, and then you speak on how it benefits or how it does not benefit. So that is like a subtopic of the main agenda. There can be many subtopics of the main agenda, and you are discussing on it. So each mod session is attributed to actually discuss one subtopic. Everyone goes and speaks, whatever they have, and on that speech others can ask them questions. And I will just briefly talk about the unmoderated, which is not, you don't have to really speak in unmoderated sessions. That is really for lobbying and communicating with others, which we'll discuss later. So can I think you can go to the next slide. Yeah. So now, as we have, a very like a way to initiate the GSL, so now we will initiate the moderated caucus. So once, let's say, the GSL has, that we have exhausted the time. Now the chair or the vice chair asks you that, are there any motions on the floor? So now, if you want to raise a moderated caucus, so you will raise your placard, you will be given that. So now you can only speak when the chair recognizes you. Suppose vice chair has the portfolio of Amit Shah. So I ask him, so I say, are there any motions on the floor? So he raises his placard. Now I will recognize him. I say that Amit Shah You've been recognized. So now you say that I would like to end the GSL and enter into moderated caucus,
Moderated call.
yeah, for the
Yeah,
topic.
for the topic, whatever it is, and total time being 15 minutes, and each speaker getting 60 seconds to speak.
Hmm. So now, when you are mentioning a moderate caucus topic, it's very important to remember three things, as you can see already: the total time, the individual time, and the topic. You have to frame the topic, whatever it's going to be. You cannot just leave it open ended. Just frame it nicely that we're going to talk on the benefits, we're going to talk about the how it impacts or something. So frame it and then say it. Now now after this there will be a voting again, that does everyone in the committee want to talk on this subtopic. So now we'll vote, and now if we get like a majority vote, we'll go on with the mod topic. If we don't, then we'll look for other motions. And if you have another motion, another topic for the moderated caucus, then you raise your placard. If you're recognized, then you say your whatever topic you have, and then we'll again go into voting. If it gets passed, then we'll enter into a moderated caucus on that particular topic. Uh,
Yeah. So, for example, in your GSL speech, all of us probably are knowing of the fact that in the Agnipath scheme, after the Agniveers retire, the 75% an ex gratia of rupees 12 lakhs is paid to them. Now, if you as a delegate think that rupees 12 lakh is not enough, this is just an example, then you can raise that in a moderated caucus as a subtopic of that, which is, for example, the topic would be that the ex gratia of rupees 12 lakh is not enough. And you want to discuss with other delegates, your other fellow politicians on this topic. So this can be, for example, a subtopic of the GSLP, which is the moderated caucus topic. This can be one, for example, amongst so many other things. And
yeah, yeah. Go
yeah,
on.
once we are done with the unmoderated caucus, we move on. Sorry, to the moderated caucus, we move on to the unmoderated caucus. This is the
Just
complete.
uh, just a second. Yes. So in the moderated caucus, did you understood? Did you understand, because it's kind of different from GSL? Can we get yes, no? I did not
So,
understand.
to brief it up, it's actually like the second speech that you're going to have to do during the committee proceedings. There can be many moderated caucuses, but after the GSL, this is the one that comes up, which goes into further detail of the agenda that is being discussed.
Okay, and also we today we have with us uh, Tanya, who was the Director General in the VMUN 2.0. So Tanya, do you want to just say something?
Hi, good afternoon, guys. So, I noticed there has been some glitch in the part of the whole timing thing, so I'll re-explain that once if you guys are fine with it.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Cool. So, see, as Anshu and Disha mentioned, the GSL is introduced as suppose I'm Narendra Modi, I would say, Narendra Modi, would like to begin a general speakers list for the total time being 20 minutes and each speaker getting 90 seconds, right? Now, Narendra Modi has raised the motion, then the chairs will have a voting. So, suppose Disha is the chair and she's taking the votings. So, Disha will say, delegates voting for the motion raise their hands. You will raise your hands, she'll count it, and then she'll go delegates voting against the motion raise their hand, and the hands will be raised. Supposingly the majority is for the motion and the motion passes. Now Disha will be asking you how many delegates are willing to speak, and for instance the number of delegates willing to speak are xyz number, and each delegate is getting 90 seconds, right? So the total GSL is set for 20 minutes, but the requirement of the GSL is 25 minutes. So Disha can ask the delegate who raised the motion to reframe the motion. Disha will go like, delegate, The total timing required for the general speakers list is 25 minutes. So can you please reframe the motion? And the delegate says, Narendra Modi would like to enter into a general speakers list for the total time being 25 minutes and each speaker getting 90 seconds. After this, since the motion is already passed, we do not need to have any voting and the time is extended by itself. For instance, we had some glitches between the GSL or something, and in 25 minutes also, the GSL isn't completed, right? So after 25 minutes, you will have to end the GSL. So there, Disha or Anshu will tell you that delegates, we have exhausted the time for the general speakers list. We will now look for newer motions. So, for instance, by the 25 minutes, Amit Shah and Arvind Kejriwal did not get their chance to speak. Now, the delegates have an option to extend the GSL or to move on to some other motion as the moderated or unmoderated caucus. Now, if some other delegate raises their placard and they present a motion for moderated caucus, Amit Shah and Arvind Kejriwal do not get a chance to speak for the GSL, right? So what about their speeches? That EB will note their names and keep it with themselves, and EB will suggest you to have a general speakers list, maybe after the mod or maybe on the second day, anytime. And the first two speakers who get a chance to speak in the GSL will be Arvind Kejriwal and Amit Shah or whoever was left from the thing. So the total timing during the motion is not an issue, but maybe because of the total timing, you do not get a chance to present your speech at that moment. That wouldn't be a glitch. If you really want to complete your speech, you can request co-delegates to please pass the motion for extension. If it does not happen, you can present the motion for an extended GSL later on and have the GSL completed later on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Danieli.
You guys can move forward with the other explanations now.
Also, okay, I guess someone just asked that how should we initiate the moderated caucus? So, like, keep the moderated caucus topic like very not like wide enough for everyone to speak. Like, don't keep it very constricted. So that was it. And it's given how you should initiate the moderated caucus, so you can look to that. And I think, can a single member have multiple moderated caucus? See, you have to raise your placard, and then if you get recognized, oh, okay, okay, I think, okay. If you get recognized, then only you can initiate the moderated caucus. So again, if you're raising your placard, just say you said it once, okay, we recognized you, and then we had a voting, and suppose it failed, your moderated caucus topic, it failed. So again, next time if you're raising it, so we may not recognize you, because we will be looking out for more participation. So we'll recognize somebody else. But if there is no one and you do have a different and better topic that everyone is actually willing to talk on, so we can recognize you. Anshu, you can start presenting again. It just got off.
Yeah. I just had some internet glitches.
Samkit, did you get it, or can you unmute and say if you still have the doubt?
So many
No,
people had some
it's
doubts
clear.
regarding
Thank
the
you.
moderated caucus.
Okay. Do you want that we re-explain it?
No, it's okay. I understood. Thank you.
Okay. So that you said that initiation of the moderated caucus is just that we'll ask, are there any motions on the floor? And if you want to initiate a moderated caucus, you raise your placard, and when we recognize you, you say whatever, that I would like to initiate a moderated caucus, and that is it. Okay.
Yeah,
So
so delegates just understand that we are going in a, like it's a step-by-step order procedure that is continuously being followed. Okay. Chair?
yes, you can go on.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So let me continue with the unmoderated caucus as I was speaking. This is the exact opposite of what the moderated caucus is. The moderated caucus was regulated by the EBs, but in the unmoderated caucus, the EBs, that is the vice chair and the chair, will not be present during this. And this is the time when you have for lobbying. Okay. And in this time, you can actually utilize this time to debate with your fellow politicians, try to get them into your side for voting on motions that you may raise in the future or for forming blocks as well. So they can basically convince other politicians for voting motions they would raise, and you are all free to do it. Like you can, I think, if I'm not wrong, chair, they can get up from their seats and talk to each other. Am I
Yes,
right? Yeah, so you all can. This is not going to be formal. Okay, you all can rise from your seats and talk to each other, to other politicians. For example, Mamta Banerjee can talk to somebody like Rahul Gandhi, for example, and they two can together try to convince each other for voting future motions that they might raise, which would be in favor of their understanding of the Agnivet scheme. And uh, this also has to be raised in a similar manner like the moderated caucus or the GSL, because this is a very standard procedure at this point. I hope you all understand that. So basically, to raise an unmoderated caucus, all that needs to be done is to say the following sentence that has been written in bold, so that any delegate can rise up and speak that, which is once the chair asks for it. So, like, I'd like to end the GSL or moderated caucus and enter into an unmoderated caucus for total time being 20 minutes. So, once the chair recognizes you, once you speak that, and if everyone favors it, that is, it wins in the majority vote, then an unmoderated caucus is decided, and then you jump into that part. And for 20 minutes, the chair and the vice chair will not be present during that time, and you can utilize that time to talk to each other and get to know about the perspective and points of each other, try to suggest each other new topics, try to form alliances together or blocks, as you'll be coming to know in a little while. So this is a great time for that. And lobbying is just a concept that is prevalent regarding uh, unmoderated caucus. Jack, can you explain this one?
yes. So, what the unmoderated caucus is really about is lobbying. Like, lobbying is like, like forming alliances. Like, you come together and you discuss with the others. Like, if you're raising a motion in the moderated caucus and it gets failed, it only means that everyone is not in support of you. So, in the lobbying sessions, you talk with others, you communicate with others, and you form an alliance, you form like a group where you decide, okay, well, let's do this topic. And in the moderated caucus, when you're actually raising that topic, others are actually voting for that and it gets passed. Now, lobbying is also very important for one more major thing, that is the resolution. Okay. Now we coming to the resolution next, and I think after the resolution we'll discuss about why lobbying is important for the resolution. So now, for now, also the maximum time for unmoderated caucus can only be 20 minutes. So don't extend it beyond that. Keep it 20 minutes, and if you want, like, if you need more time, then after we have mod sessions, you can again enter into unmod if you think that you need that time. Yeah. Now you can ask your doubts. Okay, write in yes if you understood.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Everyone has been given their portfolios and the ones they would be representing. So, is there any barrier or criteria that if I'm from a particular political party, uh, so like I'm from BGP, for example, I am from BGP, so I can't like ask other persons or delegates who are from the Congress or something to support me? Is there any barrier or something like that?
No, you can lobby with all the delegates. There is no such barrier. But when you are writing the draft resolution, then you have to like, what should I say? Allow. So but you can always, lobby with other delegates of the other parties for passing your motions, also passing the draft resolution that you will create later on. So we'll talk about that. But no, as such, you don't have any barriers as such.
Okay.
Next one. Any more doubts? Also, lobbying is like very informal. You can lobby like just after this training session is over. You can start lobbying, you can talk with the others, okay? Like, and also during the conference, before the conference, you can lobby. That is at your pace. You decide how you lobby, and there is no rule as such. Okay.
Yeah, so you can actually start lobbying from the moment you have gotten your portfolios and you want to start convincing people or talking about motions or such topics. And yeah, regarding what the chair said, during the time you form your blocks, it has to be realistic according to what is in the present situation. For example, there can be a block of NDA, so that is how it's going to be formed. Okay, it has to be realistic.
Okay.
Moving on, there are certain points. Chair, would you like to explain?
Yeah. So points are like, ways how you communicate with the chair, with the delegates. Like, so now there are, these are several points that you can raise. Like, the chair will not ask you that raise the points. You have to raise your points when you think it's necessary that you need, and then when you're recognized, you say that this is the point that I rise to. So the types of unmute, please, Vaishal. Yeah.
Is it okay?
Can you unmute?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yes. So the first is the point of personal privilege. Now, this is very important because you are in an offline conference, right? So this is for if you have any, like, personal uh, any kind of discomfort. Okay, maybe you want to use the washroom, or you just have any other sort of problem that concerns you as a person. Okay. So you can raise it at any point of time throughout the conference. Just make sure that you're not interrupting a speaker, because if you're rising to a point, we have to recognize when that might interrupt. Just let others finish their speeches, and then you can rise to the point of personal privilege if you have any, and we'll take care of the problem that you're facing. The next is uh, the point of information. Now, through points of information, what you do is you ask questions to the other delegates. Now, let's say a delegate is giving a speech in a moderated caucus. So, after the speech is over, the chair will ask you, are there any points of information? This one, the chair asks you because these are questions that you have to the delegates on their speeches. So, you say, you raise your placard, you're recognized, and then you ask the question that you have. Like, like they have said a statement, and you think that in reality they do not really adhere to that, they are not doing any such thing, or if they say that we have done certain things to improve a certain situation, you can ask them, what are the things that you've actually done?" So it's like asking a question, and they will reply. Now, point of informations, you can have follow-ups, like if the person replies and then you have another question to them, and the chair allows you, you can have a follow up. But if there is a time constraint, then follow ups will not be allowed. The next is point of order. This is usually to like clarify any inaccuracy in the procedure. Like if you think that some in the procedure something is going wrong, you can rise to a point of order, and then you can correct the EB, or you can correct the committee in general. The next is point of parliamentary inquiry. Now, this is very important. I think this is very important for first timers. So, suppose you're in the committee and you do not really are understanding what is happening. So, you can rise to a point of parliamentary inquiry, asking the EB to explain you what is happening. You can ask that what is the procedure going on? Are we in a moderated caucus? Maybe not able to understand. So you can always ask it, and we are there to answer you that what is going on and how you should react to that. And lastly, is a right to reply. Now, this is when your personal integrity as the portfolio has been questioned. It does not concern you as a person, but when you're representing the portfolio, and someone in the speech have mentioned you and said something that you think that you need to answer that because it has somewhere hurt your integrity. So you have a right to reply to that portfolio. You have a the When you rise to that, we will recognize you, and then you can reply to that. It's usually not done, but if you think that you need, and it's but if, that it's really important. But if the chair thinks that it's not really important, we may not go forward with that. So that was it. I think point of personal privilege, point of information, and point of parliamentary inquiry are the ones most commonly used and most important. So just go through it once and ask your doubts, or just write a yes in the chat box.
So when all this we can use during the mod sessions or during the GSL?
Point of information, we are not accepting in the GSLs. Otherwise, you can use it in the mod sessions, any mod sessions.
Shall we give a demo of how it's raised so that
Yeah,
I
you
think
can.
they can understand it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So, for example, let's take the first one, point of personal privilege. You can use this anytime so long as it's not interrupting a speaker, because that is not good. When somebody is speaking, you should not interrupt just like that because you want to go to the washroom. That is not done. So, a point of personal privilege can be used any other time other than that. So, you can raise your placard or something that you will be having that day with you, and the chair may ask you to what point do you rise delegate, and you can tell that it's because of a point of personal privilege, and you can specify what it is. Am I right, chair?
Yes. When
Yeah,
you
so that is,
rise to that point, we'll ask you what's the issue, and you can say, and we'll try to solve it.
yeah. Any other doubt, people? Please do ask us.
Also, you don't need to be scared on that day, because
Yeah.
in case you're not able to understand, we will explain it anyhow. But still, if you're not able to understand, then you can always raise to a point of parliamentary inquiry.
Now, the most important thing is please don't be tense or intimidated. I understand that it might be a bit complicated to understand all this because none of you have probably experienced MUM before, especially those who are in class 11. And there are a lot of things, this point of person privilege, this and that, moderated, unmoderated caucus. But I'm sure that when you go through it at the end, I'm very sure that you'll be able to understand the flow that is taking place during the committee sessions. And you'll understand it with time. So please don't be afraid or intimidated by the formal environment. Yeah, shall we continue?
Yes, sure.
If there are no doubts.
Can we get the yes? Only two, three. Okay, okay.
Please do ask us if there's any doubt. That's fine. We're just your seniors. Please don't be intimidated.
Okay, great. You can continue.
Chair, are there any more doubts or should I proceed then?
I think they've understood.
Okay. Okay, then let's proceed then. Okay. So now it's about yielding your time. So initially, you all must have seen that during the GSL we set a specific time limit for every speaker. That is total time limit of 20 minutes with each speaker. That is every single speaker getting 90 seconds to speak. Or during the moderated caucus, it might be, for example, 60 seconds to speak. Now, your speech may not cover the entirety of 60 seconds. You may finish in 30 seconds. Somebody may take 50 seconds to finish. So if there's, for example, 10 seconds left in your hand to complete your speech, and there are 10 more seconds. So there are three options that you have when you have 10 more seconds in your hand, especially during the moderated caucus. And these three options are yield to chair, yield to point of information, yield to another delegate. So what are these? When you yield to the chair, you're basically giving up the rest of your time. That is, it's pretty much null and void. You have 10 seconds, you're giving it up to the chair. So it's gone basically. There's nothing useful you can do out of it. When you're yielding it to a point of information, other delegates can ask you questions on the basis of what you have just spoken. So, for example, if you decide to yield it to a point of information, some other delegates might decide to question you on certain topics or something that you have said in your speech. So, this is a very important thing, and I would always recommend that people do this because it's very interactive. And let's finally yield to another delegate. So, in this one, you can basically give your time to another fellow alliance member that you have. For example, Amit Shah can give some specified amount of time, whatever is left in his or her as a speech, can give it to another delegate, for example, to Amit Shah, who is in his alliance, and that 10 seconds would get added to Amit Shah's speech. So these are the three yielding things that you can do. Chair, would you like to comment on it?
Yeah, also point of information is also known as yielding to the floor. So you can also say that, and when you yield to the floor, the chair will ask other delegates that if they have any questions, and then if you have a question, you can ask the speaking portfolio that whatever is your question, and yeah, that is it. Also, actually, like sometimes you do extend your speeches, so you don't get that yielding time obviously when you have exhausted the time, as Tanya has also mentioned that when you exhaust the time, uh, so when you like have short speeches, there is also more time to actually answer questions, and answering questions, actually also have more marks. Like if you answer a question very diligently, then you do have greater, like good marks there, that if you can answer in a good way. And it also kind of stirs up debate, like you answer the other person questions, and there's a lot more activity. So if you are a person who is, you wants to other delegates to ask questions, then I would always recommend that you keep some time, at least 10 seconds, so that you can get one question at least. So yeah, that's it.
Chair, Tanya Di has something to say regarding Indigo Time. So,
Yeah, 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 sure.
Okay. Delegates, I am really sorry, but there has been some glitch in the explanation. Yielding to the chair actually does not mean giving up your time, but it means giving your time for questions from the chair. Now, Disha and Anshu are your chair, right? Suppose I am Narendra Modi and I have 15 seconds left in my speech and I am yielding it to the chair. So now they can directly ask me questions. If you yield to the chair, you get a little extra weightage. You create a little extra weightage because you are confident enough to even answer any question that comes from the chair. Now, the chair's question can be from the your speech itself, or can be from any other speech you said in the whole procedure. And if the chair is not willing to ask any questions, they can pass on your yielded time to the floor, and then the floor can also ask you questions. So when we were having our MUN, the delegates would usually yield their time to the floor. Yielding to point of information is also correct, but you should prefer saying yielding to the floor. And if someone would yield it to the EB decides that will they themselves ask questions or will they pass on the time to the floor to ask them questions. And these two are the places where these are the ways of yielding where you get marks. But if you yield it to some other chair, you actually lose marks. I mean, you first of all create a bad impression that shows you're not prepared to answer a question, or you're not prepared with you're not confident about your speech. Plus it shows that you want someone else to win, so it creates a negative impact upon your portfolio. And yielding to the some other delegate gives them an upper hand. They it proves that they are more dedicated and more committed in the committee session, and you are not. So it is highly preferred to not yield your time to another delegate. And you should usually, if you're not very confident about your speeches and stuff, yield it to the floor. It's good. The other delegates will ask you questions. If not willing, you might not answer, and like you lose marks about that, but it's not very important to answer it. And if you yield it to the chair, you might get really difficult questions, and the chair can actually shake your confidence. So if you're very confident, then only yield it to the chair. Okay, and yes, this is about yielding. And also, like Disha said, keep 10 to 5 seconds shorter so that you get space for yielding and stuff. That is actually preferred. And sometimes when you extend your speech, make sure your speech does not extend 5 to 7 seconds of the whole limit, because then the chair will have to cut you between the speech and you won't be able to close your speech properly. The closure will be missing. So keep it a little short or precisely of that time. Keeping it shorter is always more preferable.
Yeah, yeah, that is it. Should I present?
That would actually be good. I think I'm having some internet glitches.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Just like we were here, right? Yeah. Oh, India time, yes. Yes. Okay. So I'll go with the next one. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, you're audible.
Okay. So now an integral part of everything is chits. Okay. Now it's like actually sending chits. We all know what chits are, right? So now we're sending chits to the other delegates to communicate with them, not in the verbal way, like in a written way. Now, what are chits used for? Suppose, in a speech you had raised a point of information and you were not recognized. So you can ask that question through a chit. So you can ask points of information through chits. If someone has sent you a point of information through a chit, you can reply that via a chit. Obviously, you will reply that question that has come to you. Uh, and also, suppose, we are talking about asking questions in the POIs when there is a speech, when there's a verbal speech. So you, as a portfolio who to whom the question has been asked, you can opt for replying through chats. You can tell the chair that I would like to reply to this question through a chat. So that is allowed. You can do that if you're not, comfortable in speaking, if you're not really comfortable in replying. So you can do that. But it's always preferable that obviously that you speak, because that looks more good, that you're confident. Now, another thing is substantive chits. Now, these are like chits are usually small, like 1 2 line things. You don't elaborate inside the chit. Like, as you know, we know what a chit is, right? It's a small thing, just write 2 3 lines, and then you send it. But substantive chits are like relatively more elaborate chits where you write a longer reply, a longer answer, usually to a question. Substantive chits are usually long answer chits. So we'll send you a separate PDF on chits by today. Okay, so another thing is that the format of the chit. You cannot just write the chit in any way. So you can see the format on the right side that we've written to the portfolio that you're sending the chit to from is like your own portfolio, and via EB is that you want the chit to go via the EB. That the chit you give it to the OC member that will be there. The OC member gives it to the chair, the vice chair. Okay, they mark you on your chit, and then that chit goes to the OC member and to the delegate that you are trying to give the chit to. So now there are also chits where you that wouldn't go via the EB. Okay, so on that occasion, you tell the OC that this is a chit that is not supposed to go via the EB. This is supposed to go directly to this portfolio. Okay, so you have to mention that because otherwise they won't understand whom to give. So you mention that this chit is to be given via EB. You give it, they give it to the EB when you say that not via the EB, and they won't give. So in chits that that don't go through the EB, you have to like you that are basically used for lobbying. So you ask them that like if you can, what's the next motion, if like the draft resolution, just lobbying for purposes during the conference, because you cannot really physically get up and talk unless it's an unmoderated caucus. So if you want to have that, you can. But in the chats that are via EB, no, you ask questions and you actually are marked on that. So if you write a really nice question in a chat that maybe you couldn't ask because you were not recognized, then you will be marked for that. So make use of chats to ask the questions, give the replies that you need to, because they do carry marks. But also at the same time, I would say that it's always preferable that you speak more than write chits. But if you are not if you did not get the time, let's say, then use chits. I wouldn't say that chits are an alternative for speaking. Like if you're not comfortable speaking, go for a chit. Don't do that, because speaking definitely contains more marks, and if your chits are not of that quality, we'll not be giving it so much preference. So did you understand the chit part? Okay, does anyone have any doubt? You can unmute and say. Just a second. Is someone speaking?
No, that doesn't seem the case. Anybody has any doubt? Okay, Uddhav Thackeray, Ayushi Mandala is asking that can you explain point POIs again?
Vice,
Wonderful.
can you do that? Or should I?
Okay. So, yeah, you can do that. You have the chance to not have.
Okay. So POIs are basically points of information. That is a question that you ask to another delegate. So when a delegate, they will be giving several speeches, right? All the portfolios. They will be giving a speech in the GSL, they will give a speech in the moderated caucuses. So you have a question, like you want to know that how, if they are, suppose for the scheme, they say that the scheme is very beneficial. So you can ask them that how it is beneficial if they have not already elaborated on them. If they're giving a very superficial opinion, you can go and ask in-depth questions. Or maybe they have done something that is in contrary to what they are speaking. So you can ask them that, on these occasions you have done this, but this does not really align with your opinions. So what do you have to say on that? It's basically a question, like a question that you have on one they're essentially speaking. Like it can be anything. You can be asking them that what should I say, like
Yeah, for example,
yeah, go on, please.
yeah. For example, the chair is Amit Shah, okay, and I'm say MK Stalin, for example, and the chair mentions in her speech that the Agnipath scheme is actually going to, for example, it's going to be beneficiary for something for so and so reasons. And I think that is not the case because I have some evidence that proves otherwise. Okay. So in that case, I can actually raise a point of information after the person has finished speaking and clarify that point and ask the delegate a question that this is the evidence that I have with me. So regarding this, what do you have to say? So you can question the delegate, please.
Yeah, what I was about to say is that, when you have to question another delegate on that, it's very like, if you have a research on what they have done or what they have said, it's very like useful, because you can always ask them. You know what they have done in reality, right? You know that what are the opinions they have shared, what actually are the policies they have created if they're in the government. So do research on the portfolios, other portfolios other than yours, and that will help you in asking the POIs. Also pay attention to their speeches, and if there is probably, let's say, a glitch in their speeches, or I wouldn't say a glitch, like contrary opinions. Maybe they said one thing then, and the next thing which is totally opposite to what they just said. So you can point that out, and you can always ask them that what is actually your opinion, or what are you doing. So it's any kind of question that you ask them, basically.
Okay, so before we move on to the next part, check in slide, which is the paperwork or the draft resolution. Let us, chair, discuss on how the research work has to be done. Or should we do it after the draft resolution is discussed?
Yeah, okay, we can go ahead.
Okay, so regarding the research work, firstly, we're going to provide a background guide on the whole Agnipath scheme that is present. You can get a lot of ideas from that. But it's not just limited or restricted to what we put in the background, right? You're free to do your own research regarding the topics. So a very important part is you know what your portfolio stance on that particular topic agenda, for example, Agnipath scheme, as in our case, is, and you know it thoroughly and very well. Okay, you know every single detail about that particular person, that is whom you are representing, has said about that topic, and you also should be aware about what your opposition or your alliance members have spoken about that topic. You should be aware about your alliance members' opinions and everything, so that in case the need emerges, you might need to defend your alliance people. And you should also know your opposition, because it's very evident that you'd be able to question them, and that's going to be good on your marks part during this whole committee sessions. So it's very important that you research very, very well, very thoroughly. So how do you research exactly? For example, let's just say, because the Agnipath scheme is basically a certain set of. Okay, there's somebody.
Yeah, go ahead.
Saying you something bad. Okay. So, for example, the Agnipath scheme. Okay. The Agnipath scheme is basically a policy, right? And the policy has a PDF. You can get it in the internet. We'll provided it to you as well in the official WhatsApp group later on. So you know the Agnipath scheme very well. So now that you know the Agnipath scheme very well, you should also be able to understand its pros and cons as per your portfolio representations. Okay. So, for example, let's say I am Mamta Banerjee, let's say, and I want to know that what Mamta Banerjee thinks about this particular topic, this agenda of Agnipath scheme. So what I do is type in the internet, for example, Mamta Banerjee Agnipath scheme, and whatever news sources which are credible comes up. We actually try to sum up those keywords, key things that probably I have spoken during a previous speech as Mamta Banerjee in the real life. So we get to understand the points and different opinions that are there. Okay. And now that you have known the opinions that you have, you can also formulate and make your own opinions about that topic in the same direction stronger, because it's only restricted because maybe Mamta Banerjee spoke only 2 lines about Agnipath scheme in a speech stuff. So, like you can't just speak 2 lines in the whole NUN AIPPM committee setting, right? That is not done. So you have to understand the ideology of Mamta Banerjee, the ideology of your opposition, and you have to defend your stance at any stage. Okay. So if you are against the topic, you should be able to speak against the topic. You should be able to maintain your stance against the topic anyhow it matters. Okay. So you should not like once it's not done that once you say that it's bad and then the next moment you in a different speech you say that it's also good because of this. So you can't give you know contrasting statements. Okay, you might be able to understand certain pros and cons of the same thing and you can mention that. That is fine. But that does not mean that your two statements should be absolutely contrasting each other. Because if that happens, your opposition will get a good opportunity to actually question you and get marks. And that is going to result in a decrement in your own marks, which is not going to be good on your own side. You have to understand you have to understand the questions that your opposition might raise as well. You might be knowing that this is not good. This is a weak point in my speech. This is something that my opposition may question me in my next moderated caucus. A point of information may be raised on that. So, what you do is prepare a set of responses to counter your opposition's questions. Okay, so you should be prepared at least that my opposition might question this, and so you are prepared to answer that. And once you have answered successfully, that is actually good on your part again. Now that your opposition cannot actually diminish your point, so it's actually great that you have been able to defend your point at any cost. So research has to be conducted very thoroughly. Regarding the sources of research, it's obviously the internet. I would recommend two newspapers. Like I'm not sure if any one of you reads this, but you can take any information if you find that is worth putting.
Anshu, can you just hold on 1 second? I'm so sorry to interrupt, but delegates, you'll need to turn on your cameras. This is very like not interactive. Please turn your cameras on and ask doubts. If you have, type it in the chat box, unmute yourself and speak, but turn your cameras on. We'll proceed once at least few of you
Yeah,
turn
yeah.
it on.
I would like to see you
Delegates.
all too.
Yeah, exactly. We need to see your faces if you need to get to know you guys better, right? On the day
We
of
see
the
you all in
meeting.
school. Yeah, we see them
You
all
know
in
each
the
other
school.
actually, right?
Yeah, we know each other.
So many of you are from our classes only. Turn on your
Guys,
cameras, guys.
you are the AIPPM committee, the most fierce committee. Last time झगड़ा ही हो गया था AIPPM committee के अंदर. तुम लोगों को वो जोश चाहिए यार. ऐसे ऐसे इंटरेक्शन होगा तो कैसे चलेगा काम. Turn on your cameras, everyone.
बहुत कम interaction है, guys. No doubts or nothing. Anshu, will you guys be not sharing your screen for the like slide thing?
Yeah, yeah, sure. As soon as we go into the draft resolution paperwork, then we can
All
share it
right.
now.
Actually, that will be more descriptive. Delegates, please turn your cameras on. This is like not nice. कोई तो turn on करो यार. It's fine. We have seen you guys in school. You guys have seen us also. It'll get very monotonous in this way. Someone at least. Seriously?
Is this how AIPPM is gonna proceed?
Exactly. We expected the most like interaction from AI PPM actually. And इसका उल्टा हो रहा है. I think I know a lot of you from like next time. Just turn it on. If you like, just turn it on. It's fine, you
You
know.
can just turn it on right now, right? You're wearing a t-shirt or something, right?
Exactly.
It is not a formal thing.
Even I'm wearing a t-shirt. Like, come on,
All
guys.
of us are like literally from home,
All
so
of us are
just turn
wearing
it on.
t-shirts. We don't have to be in suits or dhoti or anything. Like, just tell your cameras
Dhoti?
on. Yeah,
Why will you say dhoti?
just
Guys, कोई तो
talk
कैमरा
Google.
टर्न ऑन करो. इतना क्या इशू हो रहा है? एक जन कोई कर दो एटलीस्ट. Guys, come
Come
on
on.
यार.
Okay, one thing is,
Ankita, you can start calling them out and asking them to turn their cameras on. वरना
Yeah,
नहीं करेंगे. Very, very monotonous session, I
this is
must say.
exactly that's absolutely not interactive. कुछ समझ भी नहीं आ रहा है whether they're listening or understanding or not.
Okay, first of all, you need to turn your cameras and also drop a hi or something in the chat.
निश्चय यार, निश्चय टर्न योर कैमरा ऑन प्लीज. क्या कर रहे हो
At
निश्चय?
least, at least drop a hi or something, so at least we know that you are listening. Yeah. Turn on your cameras, everyone. We'll start calling out by names right now.
Samkit,
Yeah,
Shubh, guys,
Sanket.
turn on your cameras.
Sanket, turn on your camera.
See, Nishchay turned it on. Amazing, Nishchay, Samkit, very good. Okay, Piyush also turned it on. Keep going,
Yes,
guys.
you
Thoda
see,
bahut, thoda
these
bahut.
guys are sitting. These guys are sitting with a full setup with headphones and everything, and you are still ashamed to put your cameras on. That is not good, guys. Expect better.
हम लोग कितना रैंडमली ये सब अरेंज करके अभी बैठे हुए हैं यार, कुछ फॉर्मल नहीं है.
हाँ,
यार सीखने के लिए सब कुछ. कोई भी डाउट्स
Exactly.
वगैरह कुछ भी हो, you can just text us, drop us anything, meet us in school, anything. सब जगह हम लोग अवेलेबल है. कैमराज ऑन कर लो यार, थोड़ा इंटरैक्टिव बनो. दिस इज
Hardik,
AIPPM, right?
Hardik, Ankita, Maji, turn on your cameras, all of you.
Uddhav Thackeray, turn on your camera. MK Stalin, मायावती, लालू प्रसाद, सब
Guys,
दिग्गज से दिग्गज लोग हमारे पॉलिटिक्स के. प्लीज टर्न ऑन योर कैमराज.
अरे यार कैमरा ऑन करो ना यार, ज्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग होगा, समझ भी ज्यादा आएगा
यार
बेसिकली.
नेता लोग के जैसा मत बनो, जो लोग कहीं पे इंटरैक्ट नहीं करते हैं. बी बेटर दैन देम.
डायरेक्टली
राइट.
बोलना था.
Saugata Roy, you have such a pretty profile picture.
सी वी आर हाइपिंग हो गाइस. अब तो कैमरा ऑन करो. हमें किसी ने हाइप नहीं किया था, ठीक है, कैमरा ऑन करने के लिए हम लोग कर दिए. विधि, दिस विधि, दिस नेहा, गाइस टर्न ऑन ना. स्वागता भी है.
Even if you're not turning on, at least speak. Like, it's okay, maybe.
अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ एंड आस्क कि ठीक है, समझ आया नहीं आया, डाउट्स है, किसी डाउट ना था के लिए जस्ट टाइप समथिंग so we know that you are there listening at least.
I'm sure that some of you actually have doubts because this is going to be
Yeah,
your first time.
obviously
When it
ऐसा
was
किसी की
our
डाउट ही
first
नहीं
time,
है.
yeah, Ankita, like Disha, when it was our first time, remember we had so many doubts and we used to ask our seniors. Okay,
I
last
think
year
I
and
called
before.
Navagata I don't know how many times. Guys, you
Yeah,
can ask us, it's fine. Even the silliest of questions are like valid because confusion ho hi sakta hai. And this is not very easy कि you'll get it in once only. So we expect that you guys will ask us questions. Anything it is, no problem, just ask it out. Also, I think you guys will be using the slides, right? Thoda sa like it will be understandable.
We were using it, just stopped it right now.
Okay,
we
so
just
I guess
stopped
और कोई नहीं
sharing our
करने वाला.
slides. So
I
we
think
just
then you can continue on with your session.
This
So
sets
yeah.
an impression, by the way. This really sets an impression. The amount of interaction you have with the like chair and everyone, with the other delegates also, it will affect your confidence on the day also a
If
lot.
you're conscious that you cannot ask doubts over here, don't be. But still, if you are, you can always text them their doubts on WhatsApp, right? You can even text us, me or Ankita, or your chair, Anshu and Disha.
Text call कुछ भी चलेगा.
हाँ कुछ भी चलेगा, honestly एकदम.
मेल मत करना बस, किस मेल नहीं चेक करते. बाकी
मेल तो
टेक्स्ट
है
कॉल
भी नहीं आएगी
चलेगा.
किसी के पास, बस डीएवी वाला है.
डीए वाला भी बहुत रेयरली चेक होता है.
मेल भी कर सकते हो, मैं करने ही लगूंगा आज से मेल चेक.
ओके
मेल भी
ओके,
कर देना.
ठीक है.
So guys, you can continue your session.
या कंटिन्यू, और कोई नहीं करने वाला ऑन.
Dekho, the more you know each other, the more fun it's going to be on the final day. It's going to be like super fun. So you just
The
like,
झगड़ा will be more intense that way.
exactly. Whatever.
Continue from where you left, I think, Anshu. We can continue.
Yeah. Yeah. So I forgot actually. Yeah. See, you don't have to worry about, what is the procedure. This is so difficult. Just focus on knowing more, and that will be all because that way will anyway guide you through everything. So now that I guess we'll start with the draft resolution discussion because we've been talking about that for a long time. So we're going to that, and we expect that you please unmute and say a yes at least, or even if you don't understand, say a no. Just say something. Okay, so share. Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm really sorry. There was a network glitch on my.
Yeah, I'm doing it. Just a second. Is that visible?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. Anshu, you can start.
Okay then. So pay very close attention because this is going to be one of the most important parts of the whole committee thing that we are going to have. And this is the paperwork. Like we're doing all this debating, all this GSL and everything, all these complicated things you're all thinking about. So what is the futility of it all? Why are we doing all this at the end of the day? Okay. Even in reality, like why is it all done? Now, we can't pass a bill like the Rajya Sabha or the like all that in the parliament. But what we can do is prepare a draft resolution. Okay. And this is exactly what it's about. It is basically all the solutions and everything. Let's just say a Agnibat scheme. Different politicians from different parts, okay, have formed different alliances. BJP will obviously be in an, let's say, an NDA alliance together with all its political parties together, and UP, it's another political party alliance, let's say, okay, and they have their different set of solutions, their different set of ideologies regarding this Agnipath scheme, and due to that, they're going to form different solutions for it. So, what draft resolutions are about is basically that in a draft resolution, you identify the problems that are actually there in the present structure of the topic. Let's just say Agnipath scheme, and you think that there are certain problems, certain internal structure, okay, disbalances in that, which can be reprimanded. What you do is basically you form an alliance. Okay, okay, you form an alliance with your fellow delegates. It might be in a block. Okay, so you form a block, you are in an alliance with people, and all of you share that same set of ideologies, all of you share that same set of solutions basically. Like you all agree on the topics that you're going to on the solutions that you are going to present at the end of the committee. So all of you can together add up to the solutions in a draft resolution. So it basically identifies that there are certain issues in the present agenda, okay, or maybe certain other things that is not very feasible enough for the society of now. And what you do is basically take certain reprimanding actions. You call for certain suggestions because you can't directly change anything. So what you all do is basically call for certain suggestions in the paperwork that is in the draft resolution. So let's just say UPA is a block. Okay, and in UP there are different politicians, and you as a politician in an UPA block has a certain set of solution for the topic Agnipath scheme, uh, as it was discussed in various more topics and various GSL speeches, and all of you have come together to that certain conclusion, and you have a solution. Okay, so what you all do is basically create a draft resolution together. So maybe you all are collaborating together in one single draft resolution. So the UPA block will make a single draft resolution. The NDA block will make a single draft resolution. So these different blocks that are there, they are all going to form their own draft resolutions at the end of the committee proceedings. So you contribute your solution to that. There are certain key terms like signatories, this and that. The technicalities of which we'll get into a separate detailed PDF later on. Uh, Chair, can you please show the next sample
Yeah, sure.
draft resolution?
Yeah, yeah.
Acha, before I explain some of the
Yeah,
things
just a
here,
second. Just a second. Yeah, we'll just, I guess, stop presenting for a while because I don't really know if they are understanding. So, what we do is, okay, I guess everyone can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, I'll just ask you certain questions about what we just explained, and do one thing that you write it in the text, or you can even unmute and say if you are comfortable. Okay, so what comes in the beginning of the committee? Like after we're all gathered, what do we do? Do you remember?
The roll call.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Very good. Like I think I would forget if I would have been in your places. Okay, so why do we have an unmoderated caucus?
Will not be answering.
Okay, why do we have an unmoderated caucus? Like, what is its use? Why is it even there? Such a difficult word. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
okay,
lobbying. We needed that key term.
yes, yes, okay. See, we are noticing you, the people who are actually answering. So it's your benefit that you answer. I don't get any preference for that. So,
It's going to look on the final day. It's going to look
yeah,
good if
exactly.
you answer today.
No, it's not like if you don't answer, we will not recognize you on the
No,
final
that's
day.
not the
But still,
that's not the thing.
yeah,
But it gives a good present, a good vibe. Because
yeah, exactly.
interactive.
Ankit has a very smiling face. It's good to look at. Okay. Lobbying is a part of unmoderated caucus. Okay.
Actually, you can lobby anytime. Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's not
Okay,
the
Shiv,
specifically part
it's a
unmod.
question for you. Why? What do you think we do in the moderated caucus?
Mm, you can ask other two answers.
That is not the main thing, right? Why do we have a moderated caucus? Yes,
Shub, can you unmute?
yes, yes.
There's a lot of background noise. Yeah.
That's it.
Shub,
Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
like,
Yes, we got the answers in the text though. Discuss on subtopics. Yes. You're welcome,
okay,
sir. Yes.
so after the roll call, what is the next step that is taking place after the roll
Yes.
call? Okay. And in GSL, what do you do? Madhav, actually memorize it, those total time, individual time, and topic. Now that's great, man. That's great.
Okay, so we are assuming that you're taking notes, okay? Because last minute you guys will mess up the sequence. So I will suggest take notes according to yourself. ऐसा नहीं कि जो exact बोल रहा है वही लिखना है. तुमको जितना समझ आ रहा है and तुमको लग रहा है कि नहीं I need to remember this point, so mention that down for yourself. Because last time I did not take any doubts and then I had to call everyone again to like make me explain फिर से सारा sequence because I could not remember anything. So take doubts, that will help you only.
Yeah, delegates, after we are done with the draft resolution and another thing that's coming in the line, we're going to share a flowchart with you so you can get a summary of the whole thing.
Yes.
Someone texted like in the chat box. Someone asked to explain the blocks again. Can you do that once?
Yes, yes, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Just left the draft resolution in by. Okay.
That.
Yeah. Okay. So now, I get that most of you have understood what is the flow of procedure. So now draft resolution is the final thing that to do in the committee. So it is like the end. Like you have debated, you have discussed, you have questioned each other, you have done everything possible to get marks, to get attention, to get others in your alliance. Now finally we're writing the draft. Now for the draft, there are two sponsors who actually write the draft. Right. They will prepare the draft. They will, like lobby with others so that they come and vote for their draft on the final day. So after sponsors, we have signatories. Signatories are the portfolios which have who have like promised you that yes, I will vote for your draft. So these people are like the signatories who are supporting the draft. Now this is the format and all for writing. This you don't need to know it now. We'll discuss it later after the first session of the conference has been conducted and everything. This is for just how you should go about lobbying. Now this is where the thing about barriers in lobbying comes, that your sponsor cannot be someone from the opposition like you two, like BJP, like let's not say BJP, let's just say NDA should form one block and UPA should form a block. Now, within NDA and UPA, you can have separate blocks. Like UPA can have with two blocks and people of the same ideology in each block. Just don't mix up that, because it's not possible actually in reality. But signatories can be any portfolio, that does not matter here. Your signatories are the people who are just supporting your draft. So they can be people of NDA, of UPA. So that depends on you, how you can convince them. Okay, how you can ask them that, okay, vote for my draft. So that is how your draft will actually win. Voting here only means that on the final day when we are voting for the draft resolution, which is the better one, like better one is the one that gets the most votes. So you need to gather people who will vote for you. Why will others vote for your draft resolution? So that is why you need to lobby. So that is the importance. So if your draft resolution wins, that's like the winning resolution of the committee, and that will go on to as the showcase of what the committee has done throughout. So that is the most important thing here that you need to know. Otherwise, I think that uh, other things that have been covered. Is there anything left that I missed?
Yeah, it seemed perfectly okay. Regarding the technicalities, we'll obviously be getting into that in a very separate, detailed here, because there are certain clauses, I'm sure you all can see, there are clauses such as requesting, okay, uh,
Then
certain others like,
afterwards.
yeah, recommends, urges, alarmed by
Clauses
having,
leave.
yeah. So these are some certain specific clauses which will be shared later on in a detailed kind. So you can write the draft resolution thoroughly.
You don't need to read this now, we'll do that later, but just understand what it is and why is it. That is the main thing. And how you should go about it. So when you are in the conference, you're listening to others speak. So maybe you have to ask them, like, do you want to sponsor this draft with me? And you have to form the alliance, right? Because you cannot just leave that. If you want, there's always it always looks good if you are the sponsor, because it takes a lot for the sponsor to write it, to gather signatories. So if you want to do that, you have to be really active in the committee. You have to ask others to come to your alliance, to vote for your alliance, to come write it with you. So there's a lot of interesting things that you need to do, and you have to be active if you want to do that. If you think that you aren't really comfortable with that, then you have to join an alliance. Others will come and ask you, and if you think that their resolution is really nice, then you want to go as a signatory for that. So you have to know that, so that on that day you know what draft resolution is and all that. So basically, that is it.
Another thing I'd like to just point out that, yeah, your skills of diplomacy, your speaking skill, your skills of convincing, of persuading people to join actually lies in the number of signatories, the people that you have in your draft resolution supporting you. So, like, if you have a lot of signatories, okay, this only indicates that you are actually able to garner more people in your side. Okay, that's a positive aspect on which you are going to be marked off. Okay, that shows your level of diplomacy, your skill in that particular area.
Yeah, let's.
Also, another
I
thing
think
in the
Shubh had
chat,
a question. Yeah,
yeah,
Shubh had a
there's a
question.
question.
Yes.
Is it
Can we
important
have
to
a
have?
few?
Uh,
Yeah, should continue.
can I speak? Is it important to have any sort of political knowledge for this, like other than the Agnipath scheme, or can the delegates question something which is related to, like outside the topic?
See, you
That
have to maintain the basic political context that is already there, right? मतलब party का एक there is alliance का एक mentality. There's already a developed context जो है. So you will have to follow that. And basically जो views है अग्निपथ scheme के context में ही try to keep it there. Don't go too personal, like personal, person के views के अंदर या beliefs के अंदर मत जाने का कोशिश करना. That would like avoid conflicts. अग्निपथ scheme के context में रखना. But I think you can go a little bit like in case like you are in the context and तुम सब कुछ social or like media context maintain कर रहे हो, you can go a little इधर उधर, that is still okay, but try करना अग्निपथ के ही उसमें है वो.
So
Yeah.
the thing is ki if in unmoderated caucus they can ask you anything and you'll also not be
Yeah.
judged on the basis of it. But in the moderated caucus, suppose someone raises a POI and then asks you that ये इस situation में क्यों हुआ था, which is not relevant to Agnipath scheme. So you can just point them out and tell them that this is not relevant to the context. Yeah, and you won't have to answer that. The chair will also recognize that because it is not relevant to the context. So all the questions, at least in the moderated caucus, and when you are yielding to the floor, or if you are raising any point, they have to be relevant to the agenda, which is the Agnipath scheme. But in the unmoderated caucus, you can do. The delegates can actually just debate around, ask you anything, or do lobbying. So that depends, and you won't be really marked on the basis of
in the
unmoderated caucus.
unmoderated caucus, you can also like share your personal views or beliefs, whatever it is on the agenda, not on the agenda. You guys just lobby around, like lobbying around. Basically, it will be casual. You won't be marked on that, or any judgment on that will not be made. So it's like completely free. No issues. You guys can
Yeah,
discuss
and the
whatever.
chair and vice chair will literally move out of the committee
Room.
during the
Yeah.
unmod session.
You guys will be left with like the delegates only, so you guys can discuss jo bhi you want to discuss.
Yes, okay. So these 2 points are correct, but make sure कि unmod में ना बहुत ज़्यादा deviate मत हो जाओ. Now what will happen is if Congress के people are doing really good in the unmod, वो लोग बहुत अच्छे से aggressively discuss कर रहे हैं. Someone from BJP might come up and bring something really out of the context ताकि तुम लोगों का time waste हो. Now unmod 20 मिनट 25 मिनट maximum चलता है. उसमें अगर तुम्हारे opposition part अगर suppose बीजेपी ने already अपना DR वगैरह का prep कर लिया है एंड दे आर सीइंग कि कांग्रेस वाले लोग प्रेप कर रहे हैं तो वो लोग आके तुमको उल्टा फुल्टा कोई भी टॉपिक दे ब्रिंग इन एन सीए फ्रॉम समवेयर दे ब्रिंग लव जिहाद फ्रॉम समवेयर एंड दे स्टार्ट डिस्कसिंग ताकि तुम लोग उस डिस्कशन में एंग्रॉस होकर अपना टाइम वेस्ट कर दो सो दिस शुड नॉट हैपन एंड इन केस दिस हैपन्स यू गाइज हैव टू मेक श्योर कि तुम लोग इसको अवॉइड करो ऐसे कॉन्वर्सेशंस को एंड इफ यू आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड यू कैन जस्ट स्ट्रेट अप सो किसी ने क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया सीए के बारे में यू आर नॉट विलिंग टू डिस्कस तुम बोल दो कि डेलीगेट आई एम रियली सॉरी बट आई एम विलिंग टू स्टिक टू द कॉन्टेक्स्ट राइट नाउ एंड किसी और से गो स्टार्ट डिस्कसिंग विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द कॉन्टेक्स्ट इटसेल्फ.
But again, it completely depends on you that what you want to discuss. But yeah, what Tanya said, sticking to the context would be great. But again, it depends on you. So yeah.
Yeah.
One thing is that you guys need to
Yeah,
like
Shub,
remember
please
कि
mute up.
तुम्हारा time is like very valuable over there. You don't have time to like waste or joke around or create irrelevant situations. बहुत like limited and बहुत important time रहेगा. You need to use that time like for your own purpose only. तो try करो कि discussion ज़्यादा हो, interaction ज़्यादा हो. You ask others questions, others are asking you questions. Something that will help you in the end to come up with solutions. ऐसा नहीं कि बकवास करेंगे कुछ just because like we have the time. You don't have time for all of that. First day everything needs to be in a like, procedural. It's very like procedural and like time limited है वही like Tanya mentioned 20 to 25 minute का unmod will be there and it's not like you guys will get a lot of unmods, right? So you have to use that. बार बार तुम लोग को वो freedom नहीं मिलेगा to discuss your views without any judgment. So make sure you know what you want to discuss and what you like have to discuss and do that. That is all.
Yeah. So also, if that question, like you asked, that if they can ask from other areas, so if that is relevant to the Agnipath scheme discussion, that it does affect it is relevant, then they might ask it. It really depends on how good they have done the research. So if you have done good research, then you can also ask others. But as long as it's not deviating, you can ask it. That's it. Yeah.
Someone in the chat box asked that can we have a demo session before the final day? We have actually not planned of any offline demo session as such because like arrangements karna is still going on for the event, offline event. But we guys can like arrange for an online thing maybe if you do get the time because research ka time you guys will get like what come research ka time, right? Practice
So,
session.
and one more thing is ki that we can always share with you the previous year debates or the debates which are going on in the YouTube. There are many examples for AIPPM or MUN. We'll share them with you if we actually cannot have a practice session, but we'll try to have one before the actual session. We'll try.
or
Okay.
it might like look complicated, all of this like formality and procedure, but us then if you guys still mess up something, like ho hi sakta hai, you guys are overwhelmed and got confused about something, so maybe you messed up the sentence ki like the sentence that like other committees में बोला जाता है the delegate of this like would like to raise a motion, तो तुमने कुछ गलत बोल दिया या फिर तुमने कुछ like गलती करी थी या स्टेप मिस कर दिया, मे बी the EB will correct you. ऐसा नहीं कि like कुछ खराब हो जाएगा, बर्बाद हो जाएगा उधर, दैट इज नॉट द सीन. EB will correct you right then and there. You can rectify yourself and हम लोग फिर से कंटिन्यू कर लेंगे.
Yeah,
So
the most
issue नहीं
important
है.
thing about MUN is कि तुम लोग कितना रिसर्च कर रहे हो, तुम लोग का स्पीचेस कैसा है. So yeah,
Yeah.
and about procedures and all, तुम लोग का chair can always the chair can always help you on text or even on the main conference day.
Yeah. Okay, so one small thing is left, and that is all. Okay. So, Vice Chair, you can go on. Then.
So to be there's something unique about this press conference because this is the first time we're actually going to have this in DAV, and this is basically, let's just consider it to be a real life press conference. What happens in a real life press conference? So political leaders are basically questions, right? This is exactly what it's going to be. So there are members of the press who are going to be present. There's a separate team for that, and they're going to be listening thoroughly to what you all are speaking. Okay. So there are going to be members from different newspaper or maybe independent journalists, and they're going to be listening to what each one of you are speaking during the entirety of the session. And at the very end, they'll question you based on what you have spoken, or maybe based on certain ideas or reforms that might be possible, or what they think could could have been done better. They can also question you on the draft resolution, like you may have mentioned and recommends in the draft resolution. It may be that one block has mentioned that this suggests this to do in the snippet scheme. Now the journalist finds out that this is not actually going to be very futile. Okay, not going to be very useful in the real life. So the journalist might actually question you on based on that. So all of this is basically that you're going to have to be prepared. Just so the journalists are going to question you. Just need to know your weak points and anything that the journalists may question you. That's all. It's nothing really regarding you all. We just wanted to inform you all regarding that there's going to be a press conference. You don't have to really prepare anything extra for this. There's going to be a separate team that is going to do this, but you should all be knowing about this. That's all.
Yeah. Okay, so that is a
Thank you very
summing
much.
up of what is going to happen. Like, first, we will set the agenda, which we already know. Then, roll call, JSL, we'll have moderated caucuses and moderate caucuses. Draft resolution is really like on the second day. We'll have the draft resolution, and that is how it will end. We'll have press conference at the end on both the days, and that is all. Like, this is like a summing up of how the procedure will go. Yeah.
Disha, you can also like show them the logo of our IPM committee.
Show what?
Logo,
Oh, what?
build up the hype, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Do that. It's nothing like that. Can you see? Yeah, that's a beautiful logo. Okay.
So this is actually going to represent our AIPPM. Just so that you all know that it's going to be a very formal, a very intriguing session ahead. If you have any doubts, please do question us. Like, come on, people, let's have a doubt session right now.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
sure I'm sure that a lot of us have been listening for some time. We don't want things to get boresome, but at the same time, we want you all to know that you all have learned actually what it's about. Okay. Uh, Disha, just like show them the summary slide so that they
Yeah,
can
sure.
please note this down. Okay. Even though we are showing it in the PDF, just note this.
We'll send it to you though, but just remember it. That's all. Okay, fine. We can ask them now, I guess.
Acha, by the way, Tanya Di, we really like to address them after the doubt session is over. So let us first quickly get to the doubts.
Okay. I'll stop sharing.
Uh, see what people have to say.
Okay, it's good to hear. It was amazing because didn't feel
Yeah,
amazing.
it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Both of us, the chair and vice chair, we both participated in our last year's year, and though it was offline, it was we can vouch that it was really a great experience, aren't we?
Yeah, okay. So now let us ask you about the draft resolution, right? So can anyone unmute and say what they understood of the draft resolution?
Anyone,
कुछ भी बोलो.
go ahead.
कुछ भी.
Yeah, it's not possible because we are not expecting you all to have understood the draft resolution from top to bottom completely. There are a lot of technicalities that will go into later. So whatever you have understood till now, just tell me.
निश्चय.
Yes,
Yeah. Did you understand the draft resolution?
yeah.
Yeah. What do you
Uh,
think it is done for?
Draft resolution is prepared at the end, where, for example, any alliance they can express their views regarding the topic that has been discussed. For example, if they are having issues with it or they are opposing it, they can write all the proceedings and their views, and they can have signatories who are agreeing with their draft resolution. And I think the one who gets the majority in the draft resolution actually passes the resolution.
Yeah.
Great, 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 Nishay, great. Well said. So yeah, that is basically we're going to share a very detailed PDF sooner or later, and once you go through that, you'll get a better understanding. Regarding demo sessions and stuff, we'll be having other private, not so formal sort of training sessions later on as well as we see them fit. So this is not the last and the only one. We're going to have more needed so that you can get to understand the topics better. And at the same time, we would also want you all to start with the research right away because there's not much time left, and it's going to take some time to research. And yeah, you have to be really thorough with it because on the final day, you're not going to have your internet or mobile phones along with you. Okay, at school, all that you're going to have is your written content, maybe in a piece of paper. You're allowed to, by the way, let me be very clear. It's okay enough if you see the paper and speak. That's okay. Would of course want it if in the GSL also you can speak without looking at anything. Like do and it's not really a debate sort of competition. But yeah, you should have all the points and everything that you want to speak about in the final day written down properly. Okay. And you should also be listening to your fellow delegates, be them your alliance or be it their opposition. Okay. So Tejasvi Lalu Prasad Yadav has a doubt. Please go ahead. Tejasvi. Lalu Prasad Yadav, please go ahead.
You can type your doubt as well. Okay, so another thing is that you need to bring like a board or like the boards that you have with clips, that one or a transparent file, because on that we'll be putting your paper that has your portfolio written so that you can raise it. So please bring the file or the board. Will provide you with the papers. You don't need to bring the name of the portfolio. So yeah, do that. And Vice Chair, you can answer the doubt, is. Yeah. actually see, everyone will speak. It's not that you are an important person, or maybe you're the president of the party, so only you will speak. It's everyone has an individuality and everyone will speak. There is no one more important than anyone else.
Yeah,
And
so even though all of us are aware that Narendra Modi is probably the Prime Minister of India, we all know that, okay, and the rest maybe some of the other minor like uh, leaders may not be so much high up in the reality scale, but that is not how it works. So you are pretty equal when you are there. Okay, you are equal to the eyes of us. It doesn't matter if you are Narendra Modi or if you are MK Stalin. It does not matter that Narendra Modi is superior to MK Stalin for us. So yeah, all of you will have a chance to speak. It doesn't matter that one person is representing one political party, so only that person is going to speak from that political party.
and on that day, bring your all the research that you've done. You can print it out and bring, you can write and do, because you will need all of that to frame speeches or maybe even ask questions. We have research on other portfolios, so you might want to bring that on, so that you can ask them questions. You don't need to memorize anything. Basically, you obviously will see and then speak. If you want, you can memorize the GSL, but that is up to you. As long as you're giving a very impactful speech, it's all right. And one more important thing that I want to say is that after the session is done, the background guide is sent and all, please start discussing the moderated caucus topics in the group. So you can raise a topic and you can ask others that if they are okay with it, how many of them support it. So start doing that. So when your moderated topics are set, on that day it will be more easy for you, because you can start researching according to that topic. You can prepare your speeches beforehand, so it will be very easy. And also, you'll get the votes. Like, on that day you will not be introducing a new topic and others will not vote because they're not really knowing about it. So if you already have discussed it, then they'll vote and it will be a nice session.
Did you guys inform them that they are supposed to carry either a like channel file or a paper clip with them? दोनों में से कुछ एक
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure
yeah.
you carry it, because see, you will like have to represent your portfolios over there. So we will give you your portfolio ka printout. Okay, same sort of printout for everyone. So if you guys carry a channel file or a like paper board, you can just attach it on the front wala page, okay, of the channel file or the board. And whenever you are having to speak, you can just raise that thing to like raising a placard sort of. We'll give you the printouts of it, and it will be useful for you guys. In a paper uthana, you know how like difficult it will be.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll also remind you just 1 to 2 days before the main
Absolutely.
conference that you
Everything
need
that
to
you
do
need to
this.
carry.
Yeah, everything which you'll need. We'll inform you about each and every detail just around 2 to 3 days before the main conference.
Also, you guys need to report in the school uniform itself on the first day of the conference. That is on 18th. All of you will report in school uniform, and on 20th you can wear ethnic outfits or whatever it is that you plan to wish. Really not a problem. But first day, make sure you're in your uniforms. Anything else that you
Acha,
would
one
like to
thing.
ask? Yeah.
Tanya Di wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tanya Di, if you are here, please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Hi, guys. I am Tanya Gupta, and I've been a part of DAVMN for the last 2 years. And I take immense pride, okay, in sharing that me and Nikita were the two people who initiated it. And Ankita, Mehul, Anshu, Disha, these people make us so proud the way they've explained. It seriously feels like they've actually picked up qualities from us and molded them in better structures and presented everything. But I must say, the last 2 years, I have been actively a participant in AIPPM. I chaired AIPPM. I took care of AIPPM ka proceedings sabse zyada, and it was the most active committee. Okay, all the secretariat members were jealous कि हमें भी AIPPM में जाना है, because AIPPM is bomb. And this time AIPPM has the lowest energy. HRC is so active. GMA people are shooting questions like anything, and यहाँ पे everybody is just sitting quietly. After Mehul and Ankita came, you guys started talking a bit, but it's not enough, guys. So, there should be a spark in AIPPM because it's Indian committee, it's bilingual, and it's a little lesser formal. तुम लोग कुछ भी बोल सकते हो and okay, um, unmoderated caucuses can get really heated in your committee. Okay, now of course जाके किसी का chair वेयर मत तोड़ देना या फिर किसी को मारने मत लग जाना, that is not allowed. But otherwise it can be really heated and good arguments can be presented. यहाँ पे formality बहुत कम होती है. So take that as an opportunity and do it. And last year AIPPM was the best committee. उसके पहले भी AIPPM was the best committee. So it's upon you if you want to continue the legacy or not. And Mehul was a part of AIPPM last year and he was so good. During the training sessions, these people had so many doubts. Nikita and I were like, हाँ थक गए डाउट सॉल्व करते करते एंड देन वी वुड गेट कॉल्स रात को 12 बजे 1 बजे सॉरी आई हैड माय कोचिंग क्लासेस कैन आई आस्क यू द डाउट्स नाउ एंड वी हैड टू आंसर देम and I'm pretty much sure these people will do it for you again. So keep asking your doubts and be very active, okay? एंड मतलब गिव इट फुलेस्ट अपना पोटेंशियल पूरा यूज करो इधर पे बट डू नॉट मेक इट अ वेरी एकेडमिक इवेंट हैव फन ऑल्सो मेक न्यू फ्रेंड्स यूज इट फॉर नेटवर्किंग एंड देखो अपना बेस्ट देना बिकॉज जो भी तुम लोग यहाँ पे करोगे तुम्हारे सीवी में जाएगा इफ यू गेट अ बेस्ट डेलीगेट या फिर हाई कमेंडेशन का प्राइज इट गोज इन योर सीवी एंड इट डज क्रिएट एन इम्पैक्ट अभी व्हेन आई एम टेकिंग कॉलेज पीआईज आई रियलाइज कि हाँ ठीक है एमयूएन किया था तो इसकी वजह से एक बहुत अच्छा इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट हुआ है सो डू दैट एंड 11th ग्रेडर्स जो है तुम लोग तो बहुत ज्यादा एफर्ट्स डालना बिकॉज नेक्स्ट ईयर इन लोगों को तुम लोग को रिप्लेस करना है सो द बेस्ट विल बी सिलेक्टेड टू रिप्लेस ऑल्सो सो डू दैट ऑल्सो एंड ऑल द बेस्ट सेकेंड डे पे प्लीज डू नॉट वेयर एनीथिंग स्लीवलेस बैकलेस और इनडिसेंट क्योंकि स्कूल से निकाल दिए जाओगे कोई मार्क्स नहीं मिलेगा एंड अलग से पेरेंट्स कॉल वगैरह होगा सो अवॉइड दैट and for the mod thing that Disha and Anshu were saying, so have your speeches prepared for all the shortlisted topics. Because suppose तुम लोग ने 10 topic shortlist किए, but you get only 3 to 4 moderated caucuses. And what are the odds कि तुमको जो topic उधर pass हुआ है तुम्हारे पास उसी का speech prepared है ऐसे नहीं हो सकता ना. So have your speeches or at least points ready for all the 10 topics जो भी आता है उसके ऊपर you can speak. Have as much research as possible. बट विकीपीडिया पे मत रिलाई करना कोई भी जाके बदल देता है विकीपीडिया का डेटा सो रिलाई ऑन न्यूज चैनल के वेबसाइट ओनली एंड हाँ that's it all the best guys and make the best out of it it's a very very big experience and 11th graders please बहुत ज्यादा efforts डालना because next year तुम लोगों को ये सारा काम खुद से organize करना है and all the best to the EB to the secretariat delegates all the best
थैंक यू सो
Thank
मच
you. Yeah.
काफी तारीफ हो गया यार थैंक यू सो
So
मच
again, yeah, one more thing that you can just again I'll repeat the same thing. तुम लोग कभी भी हम लोग को डाउट पूछ सकते हो जस्ट फील फ्री टू जस्ट गो अहेड टेक्स्ट अस कॉल अस एनीथिंग मी अंकिता और दिशा एंड अंशु यू कैन जस्ट
research
टेक्स्ट
maybe also
एनीवन
will help you guys research
या
if you have doubts if you want something from us we can search it up and give it to you guys videos pdfs whatever it is you need just text us call us we'll help you out that is all I guess
Yeah.
Because it's a
So
new concept, it's normal for some of you to have doubts.
have
Okay, we
doubts okay
all
and
had
no
them.
doubt it's like नहीं ये पूछेंगे क्या सोचेंगे नहीं ये तो simple सा है I'm not like supposed to ask that कुछ भी पूछो okay it's absolutely fine even the simplest of questions like क्या बोलना है इसके बाद क्या बोलना है sequence क्या है even those questions will be entertained and we'll help you out with each part of it don't worry
like you are expected to break chairs, but तुम लोग इतना शांत होके तोड़ोगे नहीं.
हाँ
तो
we
मतलब
we
क्या ही
hope कि
बोलूं?
AIPPM will have a like clash sort of thing हम लोग को बहुत सारे members चाहिए अनमोड में संभालने के लिए क्या करेंगे क्या नहीं करेंगे and you guys are not even speaking where is the josh guys we need the josh on the day of the conference at least ऐसे करके बैठे रहोगे तो फिर क्या होगा I'm expecting कि तुम लोग research करके ज़्यादा confident हो जाओगे and फिर you
हाँ,
guys will show your josh so that is what I'm expecting please कर लेना
research
संभाल
if
लेना
you know if you कुछ नहीं मिल रहा है तो पूछ लो कि क्या लिखे भेजो क्या मतलब पूछ लो
हाँ
कि भेज दो लिंक हम पढ़ लेंगे. I will send you everything. We will send you everything. किसी को भी पूछ लो but पूछो. मतलब don't sit just. Because देखो रिसर्च करते करते तुमको भी अच्छा लग जाएगा you know when you will start having
and कुछ
that.
याद करना तो नहीं है you just have to
हाँ,
read through things that is it वहां पे जाके
you will
refer
have
से जाना
everything
देख देख के
you
बोल
can just
देना
take a look and then speak it's not like you'll have to remember anything
वहां पे जाके बैठे मत रहना गाइज. whoever is going to the event conference के दिन में, make sure you say something, because whatever you say will make an impact. So कुछ भी बोलो, but बोलो. So we can bring some key points written
Yes.
on our help questions for the
You
delegates.
can
You can
bring a
bring
complete
entire
notebook,
research.
binder, anything which you
जो
want.
तुम्हें चाहिए, तुम पेजेस के बाद पेजेस निकाल के लाओ, लिख के लाओ, प्रिंट आउट्स निकाल के लाओ, विकीपीडिया नहीं बट वेबसाइट्स का पूरा शीट्स छाप के लाओ, वेब पेजेस, नो इश्यूज,
तुम लोग
कुछ
को
भी लाओ.
जो भी लाना है, तुम लोग को 1000 पेज का अगर
नोट्स
बाइंडर
हमारे,
लाना है, 1000 पेज का नोटबुक लाना है, तुम लोग वो भी ला सकते हो, तुम्हारे ऊपर है वो चीज पूरा.
बी
कुछ
श्योर
भी
कि
कुछ भी ले आओ.
रिसर्च बहुत अच्छे से करना, थरोली करना. और भी बहुत
गलत मत
बैकग्राउंड नॉइज
करना.
आएंगे
या
फ्यूचर में.
गलत मत करना. मेक श्योर यू
गलत मत
कंफर्म योर
करना, हाँ.
रिसर्च फ्रॉम मोर देन वन सोर्स. ठीक है, एक जगह में पढ़ के यू गाइस जस्ट कॉपी दैट थिंग कि नहीं, हाँ एक जगह मिल गया, बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट्स मिल गया, बट बोल रहे हो जब, तब पता चला कि कोई आके बोल दिया नहीं ये तो गलत है, उसके बाद तुमको फिर से पूरा चीज हटाना पड़ेगा. सो मेक श्योर यू कंफर्म कि हाँ जो मैं बोल रही हूँ, मे बी आई एम सोइंग ओनली 5 पॉइंट्स, बट दोस 5 पॉइंट्स आर एकदम एक्यूरेट. जरूरी नहीं है कि हैव टू स्पीक 25 पॉइंट्स ओनली. अगर 5 भी बोलना है तो 5 सही बोल के आना. दैट इज इट. एंड कॉन्फिडेंटली बोलना, बिकॉज यू गाइस कैन डू इट. इशू नहीं, कुछ इजी है यार, हो जाएगा, बोलना ही है बस.
वन थिंग कि जो भी वट एवर इज योर ओपिनियन, उसमें पूरा भरोसा रखो कि वही सही है, और
कन्विंस
बस
कर देना.
बोलो. हाँ, बस ऐसा करो कि ओपोजिशन जो भी बोल रहा है वो तो मतलब एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करता है,
This is
जो
coming
भी
from
बोलना
an
है.
excellent delegate of Pakistan last year, who convinced people that LGBTQ rights in Pakistan is a very good thing. She managed to do that. Okay, so
हाँ,
you guys can trust her. अपने आप पे भरोसा रखना, अपने ओपिनियंस पे भरोसा रखना, एंड फोड़ देना. That's it basically.
इफ आई स्पीक फ्रॉम एक्सपीरियंस की देयर वाज नो डेटा, ठीक है, पाकिस्तान में कुछ नहीं होता है, पर मैंने ऐसे बोला था कि एवरीवन वाज लाइक कि हाँ पाकिस्तान तो
होता है,
बहुत
होता
अच्छा है.
है.
तो
We were
वैसे ही
convinced.
बिलीव इन व्हाट यू सेइंग. ऐसे नहीं कि मैं जो बोल रही हूँ बट मैं बिलीव नहीं करती हूँ, कि आई एम स्कैर्ड ऑफ व्हाट आई एम सेइंग कि क्या गलत हो गया. बस सोचो मत, जो मन में आ रहा है बोल दो कि हाँ यही सही है. बस अब दूसरा जो भी देखो, इट कैन हैपन दैट they asked you a question and maybe your answer is not up to the mark, but it doesn't matter as long as you're trying to answer, as long as you believe in what you're speaking, that's all matters.
काफी true. Okay. Anything else you would like? We need to act like real politicians. हाँ एकदम पूरा
एग्जैक्टली,
politicians
एग्जैक्टली.
बन जाना. That is what we expect you guys to do. Politicians बन जाना. Except the foul language part, you can do
हाँ
anything
बस.
that the politician do.
हाँ, और
गाली
चेयर
मत
मत
देने
तोड़ना.
लगना.
चेयर
चेयर
मत
मत
तोड़ना
तोड़ना,
बस,
गाली
हाँ.
मत देना, बाकी कुछ भी करो. We
बाकी
have
सब
like
कुछ कर
चलेगा.
सकते हो.
That is
We
it.
look forward to seeing your show in the conference.
Yes, sure. We are pretty hyped. But there are 2-3 like delegates who did respond a lot today. We guys will expect good results from all of you. ने बोल दिया यार, ये क्या बात है यार, हाइप कर रहे थे.
हाँ, रियल पॉलिटिशियन की तरह आना, बस तुमको वही अच्छा लगे तो वही करना.
अगर कोई पॉलिटिशियन तुम्हें पसंद है जिसे मिला है, और तुम अगर उसके टोन में बात करना चाहते हो,
अमेजिंग, वो तो अलग हो जाएगा, लाइक
अमेजिंग,
लिटरली.
वो भी कर सकते हो. नरेंद्र मोदी अगर मिला
क्रिएटिविटी
और
पॉइंट्स
कहना
भी.
चाहते हो अगर वैसे, तो कह ही
नमस्ते
सकते हो.
भाइयों बहनों करके
नो,
स्टार्ट
हाँ,
नो,
वैसे
करना.
कर
नहीं
सकते
नहीं,
हो.
टीचर्स लोग नहीं रहेंगे.
नो
नहीं,
टीचर्स.
नो टीचर्स, हम लोग.
हाँ,
सिर्फ हम
फॉर
लोग
श्योर.
रहेंगे,
रुको रुको
टीचर्स
रुको,
नहीं रहेगा.
लिसन. होल्ड ऑन.
या. यस.
टीचर्स कैन एंटर एनी टाइम, तो ये नहीं कि
हाँ.
तुम लोग कुछ भी अंदर. सो स्पेशली मंदिरा मैम आई गेस इज टेकिंग, यू नो, इज द इंचार्ज ऑफ एंटायर एमयू एंड थिंग, सो शी माइट एंटर एनी मोमेंट. तो इतना लिबर्टी भी मत ले लेना कि टीचर्स नहीं है तो कुछ भी. प्लस
नहीं नहीं,
कैमराज
बेसिक
हर जगह
डेकोरम
है.
तो रहेगा,
द
बेसिक
थिंग इज
हाँ.
डेकोरम तो विल
डेकोरम तो
बी.
ऑल द पॉइंट्स
ऑल्सो
में मेंटेन करना पड़ेगा.
द
ओसी मेंबर्स
वेन्यूज.
रहेंगे वहां पे स्कूल में. मेक श्योर कि तुम लोग डेकोरम एटलीस्ट मेंटेन करके चल रहे हो.
द वेन्यूज दैट वी आर यूजिंग काफी प्रीशियस है, हम लोग बहुत मुश्किल से अरेंज कर रहे हैं. सो मत बिगाड़ना, कुछ चेयर मत तोड़ना यार, बहुत झमेला हो जाएगा. बहुत मुश्किल से रूम्स अरेंज कर रहे हैं हम लोग. चेयर मत तोड़ना. दैट इज ऑल. ओके, दैट विल बी मेंटेन्ड. ओके. यस.
Kind of maintained, like basic decorum na, ki you can get heated, or you can just tell you
चिल्ला
about your
सकते हो.
feelings or
हाँ.
opinions. You can just say that, but वही सेम चीज की गाली वाली मत देने लग जाना, वरना तुमको ओसी ही बाहर निकाल देगा.
Uh, Someone asked something. Wait, venue is school auditorium. See, all of you will
Yeah.
report to the school auditorium on 18th. Your reporting will be there. We'll have the opening ceremony over there only with the speeches and Gayatri Mantra. After that, OC will tell कि कौन से committee को कहाँ पे जाना है. Okay. We guys have separate three separate rooms for three separate committees where the meetings will go on simultaneously. So you guys will be taken there by the OC members of that committee only. We'll tell you guys where it is. And second day also the third session will be there. uh, as soon as you report, so you'll be reporting to the rooms only, and after that you guys will report to the auditorium closing ceremony ke liye. That is all. Anything else? Nahin?
Regarding the timings for the sessions and everything, don't
We'll
worry,
share it.
we'll share it.
Schedule
This
भेज
is
देंगे
just the
पूरा.
tip of the iceberg. This is just the tip.
बेसिक इंट्रो
There's so
करवा दिया
much
तुम
more to
लोगों का
become.
कि एमयूएन क्या होता है, तुम्हारा कमेटी क्या स्टैंड करता है. अभी तुम लोग रिसर्च करो एंड यू गाइस विल कम अक्रॉस अ लॉट ऑफ डाउट्स एक्चुअली व्हाइल यू डू द रिसर्च. ये सही है या ये गलत है, कॉन्टेक्स्ट में है या नहीं. ask away, okay, ask away. And तुम लोग अगर slides, like if you send the slides and you guys go through the slides also and you see कि हाँ ठीक है मेरे को ये point फिर से समझना है, समझ नहीं आ रहा है, text test, send a voice text, whatever it is, call कर दो चलेगा, we'll just help you guys out. And अभी क्वेश्चंस नहीं भी आ रहा है तो डज नॉट मीन कि बाद में नहीं पूछ सकते हो. जब तक रिसर्च कर रहे हो करते रहो, विल हेल्प यू.
So until any further thing comes up, just until 18th, whatever research, whatever you can scrounge up in the internet or newspaper, whatever you can. If you want to
I'll
take a
say कि
microphone and go to a
yeah,
journalist
it does
house,
not take a lot of time actually to gather data. तुम लोग को क्या करना है, लास्ट टाइम हम लोग एक रात में बैठ के ये सब किए थे, ऑनलाइन था. So we just went on the websites, we searched the topic and everything, subtopics, caucus का top, moderated caucus का topic, and website scroll किए दो तीन websites. Then we copied the, like read through the thing once, पूरा कॉपी करके एक वर्ड डॉक्यूमेंट में बना दिए एंड वी लाइक यूज दैट वर्ड डॉक्यूमेंट ऑन द डे ऑफ द इवेंट. उसी से हम लोग अपना बोल रहे थे पॉइंट वाइज उसको लाइक ऑर्गेनाइज करके. सो इट वोंट टेक लॉट ऑफ टाइम. तुम लोग अगर एक बार आधे घंटे के लिए बैठ जाओ, तुम लोग उसका ही लाइक एटलीस्ट दो तीन मॉडरेटेड कॉपीज का आधे घंटे में आराम से निकाल सकते हो. सो जब भी तुम लोग को फ्री टाइम मिले, गो थ्रू योर टॉपिक्स, ओके, गो थ्रू योर एजेंडा कार्ड, लाइक अग्निपथ स्कीम के बारे में ज्यादा जानो, अलग अलग पोर्टफोलियोज के बारे में भी ज्यादा जानो. इट्स नॉट लाइक अपने बारे में सिर्फ जानना है. सो यू गाइस कैन क्वेश्चंस अदर आल्सो. डू द रिसर्च जब तुम लोग को टाइम मिले. 20th को शुभ you'll have another session. Actually we'll have two sessions on 18th and one final session on 20th. So after that for third session we'll like decide whatever is the outcome of the 2 day conference, and then you guys will have the closing ceremony on the second day with the entertainment session also. I hope I'm clear to all of you. Okay.
एंटरटेनमेंट सेशन के लिए भी तुम लोग प्लान कर सकते हैं वहाँ पे
हाँ,
बैठ
you
के
guys can
गाना
prepare
गाना.
and tell us कि तुम लोग को अगर डांस करना है, गाना गाना है, tell us what songs you want. We guys can prepare the songs for you. पहले से बता देना दो कि उस दिन जाके बोलोगे सॉन्ग्स चाहिए, फिर यूट्यूब से लगाना पड़ेगा और अजीब से एड्स आने लगेंगे. So इससे अच्छा पहले बता देना, we'll arrange your songs. कुछ भी कर सकते हो. एंटरटेनमेंट सेशन में you guys can perform whatever you wish to perform as long as it's appropriate and as long as Mandira ma'am does not have a problem with it. That is it. दीदी आप लोग कोई सजेस्टेड वेबसाइट बता दीजिए जिस पे लोग. Yeah, we guys will give you the website that you guys can probably use. दो तीन will look up and tell you. अच्छा, try to avoid biased, news channels, so like which are biased. We won't mention the names. You guys have a basic idea कि हाँ these are biased. Try not to use them because then कोई तुम्हारा point contradict कर देगा, तुम्हारे पास उसका वो नहीं रहेगा, comeback ही नहीं रहेगा. हाँ दीदी भैया मत बोलो यार, चेयर बोलो यार, चेयर अच्छा लगता है सुनने में. चेयर डीजी एसजी. बस स्कूल के सामने कुछ एड्रेस नहीं करना होगा ना. नहीं.
हाँ, वन थिंग कि दूसरे डेलीगेट्स को ऑलवेज मेंशन बाय
एड्रेस
द,
दैट पोर्टफोलियो.
ऐसे उनका नाम पता है तो नाम लेके बुला मत देना, बिकॉज
Yeah.
दैट इज नॉट अलाउड. ओके,
लाइक यूर इन द मीटिंग, तुम निश्चय को निश्चय बोल के नहीं बुला सकते.
हाँ.
उसका जो पोर्टफोलियो है, यू हैव टू असाइन लाइक कॉलम उसी से ही.
हाँ, ऑलवेज.
you
एंड
basically forget कि तुम असलियत में क्या हो कि when you are there, you are that
टेक अप
politician.
अनदर पर्सनालिटी.
You are in the shoes of that personality. बस वही रहना है.
हाँ, मतलब फॉरगेट कि तुम अपने आप में कुछ हो, जस्ट तुम वही हो. तुम
One
नरेंद्र
more
मोदी,
thing.
नरेंद्र मोदी हो बस.
Yeah, there's thing कि तुम लोग को अगर like there are sometimes thoughts कि हाँ मेरा पोर्टफोलियो बहुत ही relevant हो गया, मेरे को तो मिल ही नहीं रहा, I have no idea who is this. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. There are like it will depend entirely on the delegate. अगर ऐसा भी कोई पोर्टफोलियो है जो कि तुम लोग को लग रहा है irrelevant है, if you do the research well enough, तुम लोग like literally can be the most relevant पोर्टफोलियो देयर इज अकॉर्डिंग टू यू, तुम पे डिपेंड करता है तुम कितना रिसर्च कर रहे हो, तुम कैसे बोल रहे हो। सपोज जिसके पास बहुत रेलिवेंट पोर्टफोलियो, उसने कुछ बोला ही नहीं, एंड तुम्हारा उतना रेलिवेंट नहीं है बट तुमने ही सब कुछ बोल दिया कमेटी में, तो ऑब्वियसली यू विल गेट द लाइक एडवांटेज ओवर दैट पर्सन। सो खुद पे भरोसा रखो, कुछ रेलेवेंट नहीं है, तुम पे डिपेंड करेगा। जितना तुम लोग डेप्थ में जाके रिसर्च करोगे उतना तुम लोग का कॉन्फिडेंस आ जाएगा कि हाँ मेरे को तो पता है।
एक्चुअली ऑल्सो लाइक हम लोगों ने देखा है पहले भी कि जिनको बहुत बुरा भी अगर पोर्टफोलियोज
संभाल
मिलता
लिया
है ना,
आराम से उन्होंने।
बहुत बुरा भी पोर्टफोलियोज मिलता है तब भी एक्सीलेंट परफॉर्म करते हैं और विन भी कर जाते हैं
नहीं,
गेम।
फेस मास्क मत पहनना प्लीज, फेस मास्क मत पहनना उनका।
हाँ देखो, वी सीन, मतलब हम लोग पोर्टफोलियो देने के पहले देख लिए थे कि whether they have an opinion on the matter or not. So मटेरियल देख के ही हम लोग दिया, ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ नहीं ऐसे ही दे दिया, नाम अच्छा
हाँ,
था इसलिए।
हम लोग जो पोर्टफोलियोज लिस्ट ऑफ पोर्टफोलियोज प्रिपेयर कर चुके हैं वो भी रेलेवेंस के अकॉर्डिंग है। देयर इज नो पोर्टफोलियो असाइन दैट इज इररिलेवेंट एट ऑल। या सही में मत पहनने ला मास्क यार।
एंड ऑल्सो एआईपीपीएम में रेलेवेंसी मैटर करता है, बट उतना ज्यादा मैटर नहीं करता जितना यूएनएचआरसी यूएनजीए जैसे
या
कमिटीज में
एब्सोल्युटली,
करता है।
यहाँ पे तुम्हारा स्पीकिंग विल मैटर कि तुम कैसे कन्विंस कर रहे हो कि हाँ मैं जो बोल रहा हूँ वो सही है एंड मेरा ही पॉइंट सही है। दैट इज व्हाट मैटर्स।
और वेबसाइट जो कि था कि डोंट यूज बायस्ड वन,
विकिपीडिया भी मत
one
यूज
thing
करना।
कि मतलब read all the websites and keep an open mind कि कौन which side they are taking, you will understand कि हाँ ये गलत, सब गलत बोल, मतलब जो भी whatever is wrong they are highlighting that, and another website you'll find that whatever is good they're highlighting that. So read it with an open mind and then it will be more useful for you because
इफ
you already know that, so you'll come to a middle ground that कि हाँ these are the bads and these are the good. So I don't use data from biased newspapers, but I will say this is like a very personal tip कि biased newspaper पढ़ के you can create your own opinions. जब defend करने का time आएगा तो that will be very useful. But ऐसे मतलब
if you
data
guys
से,
don't want to see the copy and paste, like you guys can create your content copy paste करके, but अगर तुम लोग को डेप्थ में थोड़ा जाना है, try and use YouTube videos on the like topic, okay? उधर से तुम लोग को डायरेक्ट कॉपी पेस्ट मटेरियल तो नहीं मिलेगा, बट एज यू गाइस लिसन अबाउट द टॉपिक एंड द एक्सप्लेनेशंस तुम लोग को बहुत कुछ लाइक पता चलेगा। Okay, Tanya, okay, thank you so much for joining us though. Thank you, bye. Yeah, so you
Bye.
guys can use the YouTube videos actually. तुम लोग को info उधर से मिल जाएगा, copy paste नहीं होगा, but you guys can make that thing up by your own अगर you guys wish
YouTube
to.
is मतलब portfolio, मतलब तुम्हारे जो भी politicians है, they have a lot of speeches. So
हाँ,
if you can, please go and listen to them. It's because
तुमको
that is
समझ आ जाएगा उनका
एकदम
mindset क्या है.
data from the horse's mouth. तो उससे ज्यादा relevant कुछ है नहीं.
We'll
We will
actually be
prepare
providing all the
format दे
PowerPoint
देंगे,
presentations. Yeah.
पूरा format
We'll
दे देंगे
provide.
DR का भी
Mhm.
and
You'll
chits
have
का
each
भी.
and every point. Yeah.
Just go through them. ऐसा नहीं कि
Just,
भेज दिया and किसी ने देखा ही नहीं. Make sure you go through the
हाँ,
things.
exactly.
Effort
Chits का
होना चाहिए.
PDF we are
Chits के
making
लिए
one,
जरूर
we'll send you. That's not a problem. हाँ, chits भी use करो, ऐसा नहीं कि भूल गए chit लिखना, because sometimes you will need it. Yeah. और ऐसे लॉबी के लिए भी चिट यूज कर सकते हो, ऐसा कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
Online lobbying also will be there, right? You guys know that.
हाँ लेकिन ऐसे वाया ए बी छोड़ के जो चिट्स है लॉबी, बट ओके, बट ऐसा कुछ नहीं लिखना है कि बाद में अगर वी कम टू नो वी हैव टू टेक एक्शन अगेंस्ट, मतलब जिससे भी बात करो नॉर्मली बात करो, ऐसा कुछ मत लिख देना कि नहीं भी नहीं देख रहा तो कुछ भी लिख देंगे।
ऑनलाइन लॉबिंग भी रहेगा, सो वी गाइस लाइक होप कि यू विल इंटरैक्ट इन द व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप। बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट होता है इसमें। डिसाइड द टॉपिक्स फॉर मॉडरेटेड caucuses, introduce yourselves, ask questions about like जो like दूसरे people are saying something, ask them questions about it कि तुम्हें कैसे पता चला और what basis are you saying, like conversations करो, formally करना दो, using the names of the delegate of this, like using your portfolio actually, you guys have to do that thing. Informally अपने नाम से कुछ भी नहीं करेगा कोई, फॉर्मली पूरा चीज लॉबिंग का रहेगा व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में एटलीस्ट, बिकॉज व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप का लॉबिंग विल बी सीन बाय द ईबी एंड अस। ऑफलाइन में तुम लोग कुछ भी कर सकते हो, डिस्कशन फ्री डिस्कशन है, वी वोंट बी सीइंग, बट हाँ ऑनलाइन में थोड़ा सा मेंटेन करना। एंड लॉबिंग विल हेल्प एक्चुअली, तुम लोग का बहुत इंप्रेशन सेट करने में लॉबी हेल्प करता है, कौन ज़्यादा इंटरैक्टिव है, कौन इन्वॉल्व है चीज़ में, दैट क्रिएट्स एन इम्प्रेशन।
लास्ट
So,
टाइम जब हम
Abhishek,
लोग, हाँ हाँ
yeah, yeah, yeah. Chair continue.
सो लास्ट टाइम क्या हुआ था जब व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में यूज टू लॉबी, एक मतलब ऐसा हुआ था कि कोई एक टॉपिक दे रहा है तो दूसरा बोल रहा है कि क्यों वो टॉपिक एकदम रेलेवेंट नहीं है, एंड वी यूज्ड टू
Yeah.
राइट लॉन्ग पैराग्राफ.
Paragraphs.
ये प्रूव
UNHRC had the longest paragraphs, I guess, of explanation. झगड़ा होता था WhatsApp में भी.
एग्जैक्टली. वी मतलब यूएनएचआरसी में वी आर राइटिंग इतना बड़ा बड़ा पैराग्राफ्स कि तुम गलत हो मैं सही हूँ. तो
And like if you're raising one question, we are giving you three answers to it. So
एग्जैक्टली.
try to be informative कि वो ठीक है तुम एक क्वेश्चन कर रहे हो मुझे तो I'm going to clear it out इतना well कि तुम लोग next time question नहीं कर पाओगे मुझे. Make sure you do that. Okay.
मतलब उसमें रिप्लाई
But still,
करते
हाँ,
रहो.
does not mean कि तुम पूछोगे ही नहीं कुछ एकदम डर के इंटिमिडेट होगे. तुमको अगर लग रहा है you need to question, you question them.
अगर यू हैव टोल्ड समवन कि ना ये मॉडरेट अच्छा नहीं है कि चेंज इट, सो मतलब यू टेल देम कि व्हाई यू थिंक इट इज, ऐसे मतलब हाँ बोल दिया किसी ने तो बोल लेकिन हाँ चेंज कर देंगे,
Change,
ऐसा
हाँ.
नहीं करो. अपना
पूछो.
स्टैंड यू हैव टू होल्ड योर स्टैंड. जो
तुम्हें
मतलब
क्यों लगता है कि होना चाहिए एंड उसको क्यों लगता है कि नहीं होना चाहिए. कम
कन्विंस
टू अ
करो,
सॉल्यूशन.
करके
हाँ.
ही छोड़ो.
लाइक
वो
तुम्हें अगर लगता
तुमको
है कि तुम्हें वो चाहिए,
convince
तुम्हारे
करेगा
पास
कि
पॉइंट्स है उसके लिए, लाइक यू गाइस हैव एक्चुअली सपोज एक पोर्टफोलियो है जिसके पास बहुत पॉइंट्स है उस पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक के लिए. लाइक मैं पर्सनली बोल रही हूँ ये चीज कि इफ यू गाइस हैव सपोज रिसर्च कर लिया, मेरे पास बहुत पॉइंट्स है, तो मैंने खुद से एक मॉडरेटेड कॉकस का टॉपिक इमेजिन लाइक सोच रखा है. एंड व्हेन वो डिस्कशन स्टार्ट हुआ कि डेलीगेट स्टार्ट डिस्कसिंग योर मॉडरेटेड कॉकस टॉपिक, आई गिव दैट बिकॉज मेरे को तो एडवांटेज है ना उससे, मेरे पास तो सबसे ज्यादा पॉइंट्स प्रिपेयर्ड है उसके लिए. मेरे को अगर वो लाइक वो पास हो गया सपोज, तो इमेजिन हाउ मेनी पॉइंट्स आई विल हैव टू स्पीक. तो तुमको लग जाना है उसमें कि लेकिन नहीं मेरे को ये पास करवाना है या मेरे को सब लाइक कैसे भी कन्विंस करना है कि ये होना चाहिए. वाई इज इट इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर द एजेंडा, वाई इज इट नेसेसरी टू कीप दिस टॉपिक, क्योंकि ये पास हो गया ना भाई तो एडवांटेज मिलेगा, तुमको ही मिलेगा. सो यू गाइस हैव टू वर्क ऑन दैट. दैट इज इट. बेसिक बेसिक हम लोग ने सब कुछ बता दिया थोड़ा बहुत डेप्थ में. There are still a lot of things that need like that will come up as you go on with the research and as you go on with everything in the procedure. We will help you out.
सो
और
रिसर्च
कुछ
कर लो अच्छे से और उसके बाद
स्टार्ट कर
जीएसएल
दो
स्किल्स.
रिसर्च. आई से स्टार्ट कर दो. बेसिक बेसिक तुम लोग अभी डोंट गो पोर्टफोलियो के डेप्थ में अभी से. स्टार्ट अ जनरल रिसर्च ऑन द अग्निपथ स्कीम एंड एवरीथिंग. दोनों पोर्टफोलियो लाइक अपोजिशन एंड सपोर्ट के व्यूज में से ही स्टार्ट करो, देन गो इनटू योर पोर्टफोलियो धीरे धीरे डेप्थ में. दैट विल हेल्प यू. इनसाइट मिलेगा तुम लोग को एक कि हाँ ठीक है.
एंड फर्स्ट थिंग कि uh, जानो कि व्हाट इज अग्निपथ, व्हाट आर द क्लॉजेस, और फिर यू हैव योर पोर्टफोलियो राइट. तुमको पता है कि ये पॉलिटिशियन उसके फॉर में है
सपोर्ट
या
में
अगेंस्ट
अगेंस्ट
है.
में. हाँ.
तो जो भी डेटा आपसे पढ़ोगे किसी भी वेबसाइट पे, उस नजरिए से देखो कि इसमें कहाँ आई कैन फाइंड आउट अ फॉल्ट. ठीक है, कहीं पे अच्छा लिखा है कि इट्स वेरी बेनिफिशियल, इट सेव्स ऑन बजट एंड स्टफ, सो ऑलवेज ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट अ रिबटल. मतलब प्रैक्टिस करते रहो कैसे रिबटल हो सकता है एक,
हर चीज को कैसे कम
मतलब
बैक करोगे एंड रिप्लाई दोगे वो प्रिपेयर माइंड में करते रहना, बिकॉज देयर विल बी लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चनिंग एंड एवरीथिंग.
या अंशु यू वर सेइंग समथिंग.
नो आई वाज.
ठीक है
So,
बस.
one
That is
thing
it, I guess.
is that when you, just one thing.
Yeah.
So, when you are actually doing your research, okay, you come across something which you think your own portfolio believes in, okay, but you have a doubt regarding that, okay. So, because you have a doubt regarding that, it's very evident that your opposition is also going to have quite a very good doubt regarding that, okay. So you just whatever you keep questioning yourself. It's a great way, okay. Keep questioning yourself.